Robot and the bear. 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 I'm sorry. I'm just not. You know, it's funny because like whenever I'm listening to like other music, I'm usually able to like kind of like find ways of saying robot and the bear in you know in interesting ways, like say like in triplet.
All right.
Robot and the bear, you know, or something like that. But
And we're live.
and
Nice.
yeah, so
We'll take it.
I'm
the
just
robot and bear theme. I kind of.
you know, I'm just
Can
like,
you do like a country version?
let me think. You know, I like when I think of country music, the first song that comes to mind is Patsy Cline's "I Fall to Pieces."
I was gonna say Patsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
She's the queen.
She is the queen. She is awesome, and she's probably like one
Walking
of the few.
after midnight.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so good. Like I miss that era of like twangy American music. Like that wasn't like country music. That was just American music back then.
I suppose so.
You know, I mean, yeah.
All America was country
exactly.
then.
Exactly, and you know, then you had like jazz, but like that wasn't like really quite as poppy as, you know.
What year was this? This is like in the 60s?
Patsy Cline.
50s.
50s? Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't around yet. You guys are old.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Your age of Aquarius.
Yeah, fuck you guys. You guys are old.
Yeah.
Age of Aquarius.
The robot of Aquarius.
So, everybody, we have Andrew Brandou on the podcast. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yay. Andrew Brandou's here.
Because we can't edit in like, you know, the weird.
Oh, you see?
I set off alarms
Yes.
on
Yes.
purpose wherever I go.
Yeah.
They're time delayed.
Yes. You know, artist, designer,
Animator.
animator.
Just came here from American Dad, where I've been working.
Wow.
American Dad.
That's right. Congratulations to my boss, who just won Voice over Emmy. I think he's tied for the most Voice over Emmys by anyone.
Wow.
Seth,
So wait,
for
he-
Family Guy.
He does his own voice? I mean, he does the voices on there?
On
One
Family
voice?
Guy he does, and on on American Dad he does.
Wait, so is Seth MacFarlane like kind of a jackass?
You know, Seth is it's kind of incredible. I worked on a show called The Cleveland Show.
Oh yeah.
And we, for reference, were invited to watch home movies that some of them Seth had filmed himself as a kid with his friends, acting out scripts and like, you know, going crazy around town and doing all this stuff. And they were like super enthusiastic and like, you know, these bold things. And I watched them and my mind just clicked and I went, wow, this dude's, that's his life. He literally has been doing this forever and he's serious about it. I couldn't tell if he was serious about it, but that's because what he made was like funny, like Family Guy, American Dad, that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, it seems almost, you know, I don't want to say lazy, but like he didn't do like really involved animation stuff. It's very quick and like, you know, simple animation,
Right.
but it's all based on that humor. And it made me take him very lightly. And then after seeing this footage of him, and subsequently over the years working on projects like Cosmos with him and stuff where, you know, the dude's super serious. I mean, it's a really crazy.
He's super serious about his silliness.
Yeah, he takes it super. He has elevated it, you know, to a craft, but you know, pushed his own boundaries all the time. It's kind of impressive. And the funny thing is, it's like I don't know if I necessarily
I didn't even know
classify
American Dad
any
was
of that
still
as
around.
art.
Like I thought, like
Sure, we're on TBS, so some of our audience kind of lost us.
right.
But we've been on TBS now for 4 seasons, I think.
So is Conan. So I mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, like TBS is a serious channel creating its own, you know, expanded, you know, IPs.
Yeah. Well, and I think, they're they're competing with everybody now, including Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix is making their own adult animation.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got
that's going on now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of
he worked-
amazing.
Rob worked on something, I think, a show, and what's his name? The Adventure Time guy.
And
That guy's got a Netflix thing too.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Lisa
So-
Hannawalt is
Yeah.
Netflix, and Matt Groening is
Wow.
of
Yeah.
course
Yeah.
at Netflix. They just premiered the second season of Disenchanted.
Mm.
But it's a weird thing because I say all this, but I mean, go to my artwork or my own website, and there's no animation stuff. I don't know if I really consider it art or not. It's a thing that a lot of stuff in it I use in my artwork. Like I refer to animation and stuff a lot, but yeah, it's a weird thing.
Are you?
That's one of those. Is it art or is it?
It's not all cell animation, right? It's actually all digital now, right?
Nowadays,
Yeah.
I think most of it is.
Like American Dad is.
Oh,
cell-
certainly, yeah. All
yeah,
of
it's
yeah.
digital,
Yeah.
right? So like all the animation now is being done in house. It's not like being shipped out to Korea.
Oh no, it's shipped to Korea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
change. There's no change.
There's not a big change there.
Yeah.
Let's define it as the creative is done here.
right. So they still do like keyframes like here in America, and then they will in Korea will kind of
We
stitch it
do
together.
well. We do anything that is a design. So, for instance, any new character prop background, that type of thing, that's done here, handled here, and then that includes any new color design. A lot of effects work is designed here. Then we do, of course, the script and all the voice acting and the boards, which are drawn digitally. And then, so there's, they try to have a paperless studio. And then those boards are combined with the track to make an animatic. And that animatic for these shows in particular is extremely finished. I mean, it's
Color, everything's
no
this thing.
color, but like the drawing is pretty tight. It's not usable. It's not production art.
Right.
But it's pretty tight. The timing's all there.
Right.
Most of the drawings are there. Like they do draw a lot. They kind of overdraw, but that's because after that it's shipped to Korea and they do everything.
Oh.
What studio is that out of?
It's Fox Television
Just
Animation.
Fox? Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Well, that's Andrew Brandou. We'll be digging far deeper into all this,
Yep.
stuff in a little bit. But let's start with our top fucking 5.
Yeah, you said yours is epic, so maybe I'll do mine first.
Yes. Well, I don't know if mine is epic, but mine is thought out.
Mine's not even.
Mine's incredibly thought out. Come on. So, number 1, Rob Sato, Be Quiet Show. We're here.
Yeah.
I love the work he did. It's more mature than ever, I guess you'd say.
Yes.
There's a design element to it all. There's an artistic element to it all, and some people think it was a little different than what he normally does, but I think it's all in line. It all makes sense to me.
No, it definitely feels like Rob Sato.
Yeah, it all makes sense to me. Maybe
This one probably is the one piece that that feels the least Rob Sato-y to me because but
Although he's done
on Post-its. Yeah.
He's done those.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I felt familiar with these ones, but not as familiar with the explosion ones.
Yeah, the explosion ones were in that comic he did, that 442 comic.
Yeah, didn't I see a whole show of that here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of explosions, although these are eruptions technically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
These could be on the surface of your face.
I guess.
Who knows what they are?
or they could be
They're
phalluses.
they're not
They could be.
necessarily fiery.
But
They
they're-
look like almost petrified.
But they're not explosions. Yeah.
Like I thought that was a mushroom,
yeah, could be different.
yeah.
Or a cauliflower.
or a cauliflower.
But yeah, I don't know. But
I thought it was like Elmo's head.
So I kept saying explosions, and he was like, "No, they're eruptions."
Eruptions.
I was like, "Oh,
like
shit."
volcanic eruptions.
Yeah, because explosions maybe are man-made often, but eruptions are maybe not. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah.
Everyone should come out and check it out. We'll
Yeah.
gonna hopefully have Rob Sato here
yeah, that's the idea. I don't know
next
when.
week.
I hope so.
Nice.
We'll try.
Gotta make it
Yes.
happen.
Okay. Number 2 on my top 5 is so I'm doing landscaping at my house, right?
Okay.
But have you ever bought rocks for your yard? like big rocks. Like I
Like
bought
boulder.
Yeah, bold.
Yeah.
Anything over 1 foot like diameter, they call that a boulder.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
If it
I,
fell on
I
you.
was just like, I want to get a rock, and they're like, do you want rocks or boulders? And I was like, boulder, yeah, But I found out, if it's over a foot, it's considered a boulder. And I was
Wow,
like, oh,
just a foot.
yeah. So it's not the word boulder. I always think Indiana Jones, like
Right.
Yes.
Running from
right.
a boulder. Right.
But nah, it's just anything over a foot is what these rock people call it. So call it a boulder if you want something big.
Are you working in a Zen garden kind of thing? Is that?
I don't know about Zen. That's different. No, because that's
You
like
want
that's
something
real.
threatening, something
Yeah.
scary.
No, but that's like some real shit. Mine's like a design thing. To call it a Zen thing is sort of like real, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like a manicured fucking
I don't
thing
have-
where you're like raking rocks.
No,
and
I'm not
sand.
raking rocks or sand. I'm not raking anything. But only thing is to rake dog shit out of the rock.
Aw.
But I bought a 1,300-pound boulder. It was right, or 1,400 pounds.
Are they?
Is that like a VW size? How big?
No, it's not. It would be, how do I explain? Maybe 3 feet plus across. Just something that looks like like one of those, maybe like the size of a yoga ball.
Okay.
Those big yoga balls that you sit on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that big, a little bit bigger, but around there. And I thought, hey, that's going to be, okay, that's like about a 400-pound thing. And no, they weighed it, and it was 1,400. And I was like,
Holy moly.
Whoa.
but it looks like, I'm like thinking, oh, maybe the 400,
Do they have to bring like special like stuff to move that shit around?
No, you could, if you have a bunch of dudes with a fucking dolly, you can do it. But I can't do it.
Remember when they had to move that rock through the city to get it to LACMA?
How much did that weigh? Like tons
That
and
must
tons
have
and
weighed.
tons.
I
Tons
mean,
and tons and tons.
Yeah, they had to
From
clear
what you're
out the-
telling me, it's got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but I learned that if you buy this rock in Santa Monica, it's 90 cents a pound. So 1,400-pound rock is like $1,000-something, right? Wow. So if you just so you know, anyone who's going to buy a rock, don't buy it in Santa Monica or anywhere like that. There's always further away places, and I bought it for 12 cents a pound instead.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and
there
that
you go.
includes delivery.
No, that's the next
Okay.
thing. You got to deal with delivery. But yeah, just so you know, you don't pay 90 cents. You could pay like 12 cents. It's out there. So, but I bought a cool rock. So there.
Nice.
Yeah, very happy.
Did you specifically choose this?
Oh
rock?
yeah, that's it's like the coolest part is going there and picking. Like you're walking around and going, no, not this one, not that one, and you can find the right one, and it kind of feels awesome when you're like, yeah, this one, I want this. So it's like buying an art piece in a way.
Yeah.
But as the guy said there, I was like, are any of these man-made? Like, are these any of these like man-made, like cast or somehow
Man-shaped,
or
right.
made big and then broken with a jackhammer? So therefore you're not taking it out of the ground, but you're sort of making it out of cement or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
I thought maybe they could make a giant room-sized block and just break pieces, and that's the rock, right? Or that's the boulders.
Wait, how would they make a big piece?
I have no idea.
though?
Just mold it. But then the guy there was like, no, God made all this. And I was like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he said that. I was like, God. I was like, all right, anyway.
That's cool.
Number 3, Andrew Yang. I'm not a politics guy, but I'm having a good time watching this Andrew Yang guy. Like, just because he's odd. I like him.
Yeah. He is
I'm
odd.
beginning to like him, and he's starting like in California. I guess he's ahead of Kamala Harris. Like he's number 4 in the polls in California.
Is
Wow.
there
He's
people
still-
behind Kamala?
Like her husband. I mean, they're really
Yeah.
wealthy people, but
Keeps slowly.
yeah, she's dropping.
Yeah.
But this dude's really nationally like 3% or 4%. So it's really tiny, but
Yeah.
it's just fun watching him wreak havoc on everybody's. He's just getting higher than everybody by.
Is there
doing
something? Did something happen the last week? Because I haven't seen.
There was a debate. There was a debate, and at the debate, he announced that he was going to give away 10 of those $1,000 a month grants, I guess you would call it. Like a freedom dividend, it's called. And he's
Yes.
giving away that to 10 people. So he's asking people to apply on his website, therefore capturing their information. And, his Twitter following went way higher after that debate and that announcement. Everybody laughed at him. And
Boom, yeah.
but he actually won. He had one of the better performances of that debate, evidently.
Right.
It gave him a bump.
But he's just some dude. Like he's having a good time. It looks like. So
Yeah. He looked. Yeah.
I'm all for him. I'm all for him, but I'm not necessarily backing him, but I think it's fun. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this is like almost like hard to believe TV in a way
I remember like
because he's doing weird shit.
I remember when he was on fucking
having a
whatchamacallit,
good time.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
That's what caught
That
my
was like
attention.
he was like really nothing then.
Yeah.
It was just an idea.
Yeah.
Now he's actually like he's actually getting serious in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, what is it? The person from the Hawaii International Film Festival, who's the director of that, actually quit to work on that dude's campaign. You know, so it's like people are actually giving up their careers to help this guy. Like it's really serious. So,
Good luck, Andrew.
for what it's worth, go for it, man.
Mhm.
You know, he does a lot of like small podcasts and stuff.
No, he's doing anything just to
Yeah.
get publicity. You know,
We should put him here.
right here.
He
yeah.
should.
Yeah. Next time
Yeah.
he's in LA, like, hey,
Yeah.
Eric Nakamura and Luke Chu want you on the podcast.
He's gonna be like, who the fuck?
exactly.
What
Well,
the fuck?
I'd
he
rather
knows
do-
you from the theme song,
Yeah, yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Number 4, the Poston. What's that called? The Poston pilgrimage. You know what that is? You probably don't know.
Mm-mm.
So my dad was what do you call it? An internee, I guess you would say. You know, the internment camps at World War II
Oh, okay.
era. So my dad actually went to Poston, and they're having next month a pilgrimage in
Oh.
October. So I actually bought tickets, and I'm gonna drive to Arizona and take my dad.
Wow.
At 86, he made a mention that he wanted to go to Manzanar, and I'm like, you didn't even go to Manzanar. Like that's not even the one you were at. He was like, yeah, I'd like to just see it. And I was like, how about the Poston one? Like, do you want to actually go to the one you were at? And he was like, yeah. I was like, because you know it's further.
Yeah.
It being in Arizona rather than like I don't know, Manzanar's 3 hours away or something.
Right.
Mm.
This is a little further, and the hotel is a Indian casino, meaning they like to
Yeah.
play them cards and shit. So
Yeah, you can play some slots, play some
I'm
cards.
totally not into it, but I'm like, hey, we'll stay at this hotel and you can go have a good time too. And he was
Get
like,
some buffet.
he was like,
Boom.
yeah. My dad was like, fuck yes, son. So anyway,
Nice.
doing that.
Nice.
And then number 5, new pins, including digital Mike Tyson, 8-bit Punch Out.
8-bit
But yeah, I have
Punch-Out.
6 new pins out.
There
I
it
thought I would
is.
promote those for what it's worth. But yeah,
This one's mine.
they've been a lot of fun. So I just made 6 more, and I have like 20 more I'm ready to make.
Really?
Yeah, but I'll get to it when I can. Anyways, those are my top 5s. Less discussion because they're really selfish. Thanks.
Nice. Nice. All right. I'll go next. This gives Andrew a little bit of time to think of his top 5.
Yeah, I don't have top 5.
Sure.
Well, I'm thinking of it though.
All right.
I'm pretty enthusiastic.
You get the vibe. It's like it's an anything goes kind of thing.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, anything you want.
Yeah.
You know. So,
Could even be negative, so
Yes.
it could be your bottom 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah. So, number 5 is explosions in the sky.
Oh, I didn't get invited, but yeah. it was
Oh,
cool.
dude. Well, you
I'm
said
just
you don't
kidding.
go to fucking concerts anymore. I mean, like, I was thinking of
they're
you,
so good.
but
Such
like,
a good
fucking,
band.
like, and it was they were fucking amazing. I
They're-
was
they're
so
amazing.
impressed,
Yeah.
and like, I invited Thomas Hahn to come along with me because
Did he
you know-
go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. No, you should go.
You know,
That's
so,
great.
Like,
I've seen them before.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great. Like, fucking.
You know who they are?
No.
Oh, okay. I had a feeling.
They're kind of like, they did the fucking soundtrack to that one
Friday Night Lights,
Friday Night Lights,
the movie, not the TV show. Although one song of theirs.
You
is
guys
in
are
the
like
TV
losing
show.
me more as you talk.
Okay. They're like cinematic,
Post rock.
Like fucking,
It's
yeah,
post rock is what they call that genre.
Yeah.
Just instrumental,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but kind of epic, honestly, and
Yeah,
rad.
and like they get like very melodic, and then it builds, and like it's faster and it's distorted, and it's really fun, and it makes you want to paint.
Nice.
So I highly recommend it if you are painting right now. I know a lot of artists listen to the podcast.
No, they should listen to the podcast, then turn
Yeah.
on Explosions in the
Once
Sky.
this is done, fucking put on Explosions in the Sky because
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So wait, did you know all the music, or were you sort of like?
I lost it like on the last half of their set.
So they played new stuff.
Because I knew, I listened to. I'm like very familiar with the first 4 albums.
Sure, I was gonna say that.
You
About
know,
4 albums.
Yeah,
man.
and then like they started doing a bunch of soundtracky stuff, and I kind of lost
Yeah.
track of them then. And then I started listening to the latest album, which is actually from 2016, The Wilderness or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And it's good, but it's not the first 4 albums.
Oh, those first 4 albums are amazing. So, side story is that when I did that Oakland Museum show, David Cho painted. He painted aerosol in that gallery,
Right.
and he was just listening to explosions in the sky on a loop the whole time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was funny. He loves them, so
Oh.
he played it on a loop.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
well,
just
they were epic. They were
loved
great.
it, yeah.
Even though I didn't recognize the
Yeah.
last half of their set, like
Yeah.
I was really into it.
Did
you know.
they have an opener or?
Yeah, they had an opener, but like it wasn't really my thing.
Okay.
It was this kind of like this weird experimental indie kind of folk meets bossa nova meets
Wow.
weird fucking hippie shit, and I'm not really feeling any of it.
Was there a lot of frat dudes, kind of?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
it was like a lot of fucking Gen X hipsters.
When I saw them, it was still like Friday Night Lights was still kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago when I saw them,
Right.
and there was a lot of like frat dudes yelling Friday Night Lights football team names.
Oh, jeez.
Like, you know,
That's
the
fucking
high
lame.
school was called Permian High School. I think that was the name of the football team, and there were people yelling Permian High and shit like that, like while the band's playing. And I'm like, you fucking like you know they know it from the movie,
Yeah.
and they were like yelling like really weird, just things from the movie. So
None of that shit was going on, fortunately.
yeah, okay, so that's over because those fans are probably like forgot about them already.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really weird. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man,
That's weird.
yeah.
That's awesome in a way. Like they brought their
Yeah.
like totally fictional
Yeah.
universe into
Yeah.
the reality.
Into the concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're yelling shit like that, because yeah. But rad. I'm jealous, but I'm okay. I didn't go see them.
Next time, it's you and me, man.
Okay, but okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Rob Sato. Fucking great show. Came out here. I did a big old fucking gallery hop.
Our tour. Yeah.
On Saturday. This was the final stop, and and I harassed Rob consistently about being on the podcast. Apparently this week he's busy, but whatever.
Yep.
That's how I ended up here.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Say thanks to Rob.
Thanks, Rob. If you can quickly text me your top 5, I'll do it now.
Rob.
My number 3 is Jolene Lai, Monel, Pierre Louise, and Hans Lu at ThinkSpace. What's Hans Lu doing at ThinkSpace?
I don't know.
He only had 5 or 6 pieces, but I
don't know. Ask Hans Lu.
There's a lot of
He's in Asia.
Yeah.
He's in Taiwan now.
Is he? He was at the opening.
Yeah, he came
Is
to.
that he's hiding from you?
No, he came to the opening here afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What are you doing here, man? Go back over there." And I was kidding. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But then, no, I didn't do that.
Poor guy.
No, I didn't. I did not. He was here having a good time.
Yeah.
He was happy.
No, but
it's all good. He
Jolene
probably had a good night.
No, Jolene's show was really cool. I actually it's a fun very kind of, I don't know what the word how I would describe it. It's not, I guess it's figurative work, but it all has this really kind of dark, kind of subtle narrative going in there.
Cool.
How
How do you spell the name?
Jolene.
Jolene.
Jolene,
Okay.
yeah, and Lai, Lai.
Okay.
Oh,
So they put all the Chinese people together
except for Moinel Pierre Louise.
from China. No. Okay, I'm just kidding.
No,
I don't know who that
think
is.
So I think he's from Indiana or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. It sounded French or
Or
something.
Illinois.
Yeah.
So
So he's from Illinois, but he's like a Frenchman.
I think that only because a good friend of mine, Emmanuel, who worked did some stuff with him back in the day, is from Illinois. So,
Awesome.
So yeah, that's number 3. Number 2 is Shane Gillis from The Firing from SNL.
Oh.
Yeah,
Took me a second to think, who is he? You know how fast our news is?
Yeah.
That was on everyone's feeds for a second. It's gone now, right?
Is
Yeah,
it
it
really?
kind of is,
It's gone
yeah.
already?
I think
Wow.
so. I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is this an artist? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the comedian.
Comedian.
So, but did either of you ever hear of this dude
Nope.
before this?
Never
Was
heard
it-
of him.
Never heard of him.
I didn't either. I had no idea who this dude was.
You
And
know,
people are like, well, it just goes to show if you've heard his thing. And I was like, but I've never heard his. I have no idea.
A lot of people said it wasn't. Nothing was funny anyway.
yeah, it was. It was.
I never listened to anything.
But so how come there's no vetting at a level like that? Like how
Yeah.
come, like SNL, like imagine a gallery. You've got 12 months in the year. You can have 12 shows if you've got once a month.
Right.
Right. That's not a lot. SNL is on every week, but they've got a cast of like 12 people, right?
Right.
Like it's not a huge cast.
and
Out of
probably
the
a big
millions
staff.
of people.
Probably a big staff too that can.
Yeah,
Like
that can
there's
do
an
that.
intern who should just like research a little bit.
Right.
But they didn't even do
bit.
that. Yeah.
Well,
It's just, it seems like bizarre to me that you could have a presence anywhere, even if it was a minor YouTube presence or something, if you're a comedian, that not one person went like, oh, who do we have next? Oh, let me just look. Oh, he's got this funny joke on here and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
It's not even like that. I mean, because he was doing these podcasts, because I guess most comedians do podcasts these days, and he was doing it with his friend. And
Comedians are so played out. Anyway.
Yeah.
But like his friend, like I was listening to like this excerpt that was like meant that was brought to light, and and like it wasn't funny, I'm not like a social justice warrior in any way, but like I was listening to it, and like just calling a person a fucking chink is not funny. Like,
I don't know if was he trying to be funny or is he just kind of.
no, he was just talking to his friend
he's just
about
fucked up,
fucking
right?
chinks,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
and he would call like noodles neuters because he's trying to fucking and it's just like like.
But he wasn't contextually doing it in any way of like, look how idiotic it is to be racist. He was just being casually racist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being casually racist.
Which is the worst kind because that's just like every day for him probably, right?
Right.
I don't know if he's trying to be funny or is this just like every day he's like, look at that chink driving.
Yeah.
Look at all those chinks waiting for noodles.
Yeah,
It's like he's probably just like.
Or as they like to say, neuters.
Yeah, whatever.
And, yeah.
Oh,
and I was just like, like, all right. And like his friend, whom he was doing the podcast with, was in my eyes like 10 times more offensive. But he wasn't. His friend wasn't the one who was going to SNL. And I'm sure there's a lot more material, and I didn't catch any of the homophobic stuff, but like.
Oh, he did that too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this guy's like a triple crown then. What else did he do? did he do an N-word at least? If he does that, then.
No, what white people are afraid of the N-word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aren't
More
you?
or less.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the one white guy. in the room, like,
Is that true? Would that be true?
I'm trying to think about the level
Spokesperson?
of fear, but yeah.
Spokesperson for all white people. What would
Yeah.
you say about that? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, like I mean, like, yeah, if you're like, you could be a hip hop. There's nothing wrong with being.
You
hip-
guys would ask me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're the racist
Exactly.
in this situation.
I don't know. But yeah.
And so yeah, and the fun. Ironic part is that like one of the 3 people that were being hired was an Asian guy and the first Asian person to join the SNL staff. So
Really?
Yeah, they hired. Yeah,
Yep.
at the same time.
yeah,
They also hired the first agent. I don't even know who that guy is.
I don't know. Just
Is there a big exodus going on at the same time? Are we like losing? I actually don't know the.
Yeah,
case.
we-
name one person.
we lost what's her name? The 6 foot tall African American woman.
Ah,
I don't
she's
know.
gonna ghost bust.
She's I think she's done.
Wow.
I
I don't even know who that is, but
oh,
okay.
she's hilarious.
I haven't watched the SNL.
She used to
in a while.
flirt with the news guy, and it was funny.
Yeah, it was really
Oh.
funny. And then she did the skit with like that one skinny guy with the curly hair and the glasses.
Bill Hader.
No, not Bill Hader.
He's gone already. Is he
yeah,
gone?
Bill Hader's gone.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
okay.
Bill
But-
Hader's showing up in his own TV shows.
yeah, he's in fucking whatchamacallit?
Barry.
Barry, which
Yeah.
I've started watching.
I like that show.
Yeah, it's good.
But I thought he was still on SNL at the same time. I
don't-
guess.
no.
I guess you can't double dip, huh?
No,
Oh.
no, I don't think so.
Really? They should want you
Don't think they do that.
I think if you're
They should want-
starring
they should
like,
want you
on
to,
a
though.
show, like starring like the head of a fucking show, you kind of really don't have much more time.
Yeah.
Is Kristen Wiig still on SNL?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Which one's Kristen? And I also think the blonde one who plays like one of the Fox News correspondents is probably going to. I think. I forget.
Wow.
Keenan?
I can't. Maybe I don't remember. I'm really bad with.
I don't.
names.
I don't know anybody on that. show
I just
anymore
usually go
anyway.
there for the political humor, and that's about
Right.
it. you know. And my number one, UFOs are real.
Yes. That is awesome. Well, man. Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, UFOs / UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
And so that means that Blink-182 guy, Tom DeLonge, is
Yeah.
legit.
Legit,
All you
yes.
fuckers who like
That's
wrote him
what
off.
really is the news right there.
He's
Yeah,
legit. Oh
He
my
is
god.
fucking legit.
Right now,
man.
that guy is like probably so happy because
Dude,
everyone thought he was a
dude.
wacko.
Yep.
And here he is like, oh shit, he's not.
Every time he goes to those UFO conventions now, he's going to be upgraded
Yeah.
to the best room at the Best
You know what?
Western.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to give him 2 soaps.
You know what? When he shows up, they're gonna crowd surf. He's gonna crowd surf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
he's gonna be like,
That takes me back.
I did this. I got this done. Yeah,
Dude, yeah. I
did
was,
this.
How old? Wait, how old were these documents? I can't remember. It was like they were
No, they're not that old. They're
right.
Like, yeah.
They're from the 2000s.
They were originally released like early this year. Like we talked about it when
Right.
they were released.
I've seen him released before. I've seen these before.
Right.
But was it part of his documentary or something? Or I don't.
No,
kind of
he-
unsure how he was involved.
He's
but
got like that organized to the stars,
Yeah.
whatchamacallit, and then like they got his hands on like these what were like touted as like camera footage from planes, like targeting cameras were like, you know, that locked on to these
yeah.
area of UAPs or UFOs, and then, you know, he released them, you know, and everyone was like, is this fucking real? This could be fucking bullshit, blah blah blah, this and that. And today, just yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday?
Day before yesterday, I think.
Yeah, the fucking Navy came out and said, nope, that's the real
But
deal.
what they're saying
Is the
just to
footage?
be-
the
ju-
footage is real.
Yeah,
The
just to be
footage is real.
Just to be clear, the footage is real. That this is an unidentified.
Yeah, it could be
Flying
it could be a
object.
drone or a fucking anything,
Could be Superman.
but they don't know.
Yeah, but they don't know.
Right.
That's
They
the
don't
whole
know.
point.
Which is the,
Which means it's a UFO.
yes.
By definition.
Well,
Yes.
certainly.
Or
Right.
a UAP by definition.
What's
Yeah.
What's the UAP?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that
that's
fits,
what
that
they
fits.
call it, you
Right,
know, over there.
right,
so,
right.
you know.
Oh, they don't use the term UFO.
No.
Oh, I
No,
see.
because I think it's too loaded.
Has a bad stigma,
I gotcha.
but they should use it now and bring that word back because it's
I think so.
legit. It's now legit.
Dude.
Did you guys? Did you
happened.
grow up with Project Blue Book?
What's that?
I know what Project Blue Book is. It's the one
don't
where
know.
it's the
Is
the
that
Air Force's attempt to fucking dismiss and debunk like people's UFO sightings.
So there was a
Oh.
whole TV series called Project Blue Book that was that exact thing, and they started with this weird thing where they were like, you know, from the dawn of time, man has seen things in the skies, and they use one of the biblical characters who saw a UFO.
Right.
And they're like, in this guy, and then, you know, the dudes who found the Area
Like
51.
Abraham and all this other shit.
Yeah, Ezekiel. They
Ezekiel.
use
yeah.
Ezekiel in particular, and because he saw a spinning wheel and stuff, and you know, it was just this crazy show. But I remember growing up on it, thinking that this was so legit.
What
Like
year?
the Project Blue Book was this legit.
What year was that?
Gosh, I was a kid, and this was probably
I didn't see it.
probably at the time of Close Encounters. I think it was running off the Close Encounters
Right.
popularity.
Wow.
Mm.
So what would that be? 78.
Yeah, maybe.
sure.
I don't know.
And it might have been before that
Wow.
because I remember In Search Of used to do
Oh,
UFO
yeah.
stuff.
Dude,
I remember that one.
In
In
search of that
yeah.
show creeped me out.
That was a weirdly creepy show.
Yeah,
it
isn't-
was weird.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the ending credits and the creepy music and everything like that, and the like shots of like weird shit and like
Yeah,
you
there was
know.
a kind of cool '70s thing where that type of shockumentary stuff was really popular, and there was even like a line of like Time Life books, but they'd be like on witches.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. You
Yep.
know,
I didn't even know about that.
I think I remember those.
and but it's a weird like a sort of academic legitimization of the occult or of UFOs or whatever was real popular. Like
That was
ESP
to make- that was-
was
that was-
wildly popular in the '70s.
That was to make money, though, wasn't it? Some of it.
It was, but it's
make the
odd
books?
that like as
Yeah.
a phenomena, it just sort of faded
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that's something that like when people are like, oh, let's bring back the 80s or da da da. I always wonder like when are they going to bring back these weird fascination? Yeah.
Well, because like D&D was already kind of culty, and
Yes.
and the phenomenon around it was all culty. Now it's like pop culture, but
Yeah.
it was like that was like a legit scare. It was like, oh no, kids are gonna go crazy playing this game, right?
Well, growing up in
Like,
Michigan, we had
anxiety.
Dallas Egbert. Do you remember that dude?
No, but isn't Gary Gygax from like Michigan too?
Oh, I couldn't even say.
I think so. But
You're from Michigan?
I am.
I love Michigan.
I am.
Yeah.
So Dallas Egbert
I don't know who that is.
playing Dungeons and Dragons, but this was, I'm going to give you like the rumor-fied version of it. The rumor-fied version of it was Dallas Egbert was this genius. He was going to Michigan State University. Michigan State University has these tunnels under a lot of the campus, and they referred to them as the steam tunnels. I'm not saying that they ran steam through them, but I think like in the winter, steam would rise from these grates. So I think that's how they got this name.
Yeah,
steam
UCLA
tunnels.
has them too, evidently.
Yeah. So does
So-
UC Irvine.
So Dallas got addicted. This is again rumor-fied, but he got addicted to playing Dungeons and Dragons and went underground to bring it to life and play kind of like the first LARPer ever.
Whoa.
Was Dallas Egbert.
Wow.
And then he went mad and took it too far. And supposedly, the first rumor was that he had disappeared. That Dallas Egbert, this genius kid, had been playing Dungeons and Dragons and disappeared underground. And then later it was that he actually was found, but in Texas, and couldn't remember a thing.
Wow.
Like something weird had happened underground, and he had like a break.
Wow.
And then showed up in Texas. And then that rumor sort of faded into that he was actually, and this would be the mid-'70s, he had a problem that he was homosexual and embarrassed, afraid, and decided to go live another life somewhere else.
What?
Whoa.
So I don't know which one of those is the most accurate. I honestly don't. But subsequently, Tom Hanks.
The movie. I saw
The
this movie.
Mazes and Monsters.
Yes, I saw
which
this
was
movie.
a book.
That was based on that?
Yeah.
No
was
way.
based on Dallas
I always
Egbert.
wondered what that was based
That's
on.
what's based on.
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what we're talking about?
I have no idea.
Basically, it's Tom Hanks he's like a gamer, plays games, and he kind of goes crazy and turns into like, he just loses his mind. And
Yeah.
Right, the
he goes to college.
yeah.
And he's been warned by his parents, like, don't you play those games when you're in college.
So this is pre-Bosom Buddies fucking Tom Hanks?
I think
think so. I think he's
I think pre or might be right after.
right after. He's
Yeah.
young, though. The
Yeah.
guy's like college age.
Yeah.
So he's believably young. He might have
Yeah.
been older.
Yeah.
But so they tell him, don't play those games because you'll go crazy. And then sure enough, he does. And he goes crazy, and he believes he's a magical monk or something like that.
I don't know. I just remember at the end, he's with his friends, and it seems normal. Then he goes, I want to talk to you about this campaign. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's
Yeah,
crazy.
his friends come
Yeah.
to see him
Right? I
at
remember
his
that.
house
Yeah.
because he had this break. And so he left school. He goes to live with his parents again. And they come, and they're like, oh, no, he's fine. You got to go
Yeah.
say hi. And he takes him out to the backyard, and there's this lake. And he's like, there's a village over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
But that happened.
I gotta look this movie up.
That happened to, I would say, 70 to 80% of the people playing D&D at the time. So
You know,
Yeah.
I
It was
never
just-
played D&D.
There was a big like national outcry of like fear of what D&D was.
Oh yeah.
it was like
But
Satanic
it's stupid.
Panic.
I know, but they had
Satanic Panic.
they had Satan was one of the, wasn't he one of the, or it was Beelzebub or whatever. it is.
Beelzebub, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the monster manuals and shit. There was
Azeroth.
yeah,
I
there was some
think one of
devil
them.
shit in there. So yeah,
There was
there was
definitely
that. Yeah.
demonic
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, one thing I want to talk about before going forward with your
My
lives.
list.
Those it's been in the news before Andrew Yang stuff, before UFO stuff. The last week's news was these vape pens, right?
Yeah.
The kind of like danger of vape pens. Well, maybe it's 2 weeks ago. Did you hear
Yeah,
about that?
yeah.
And
in fact,
and
the
what-
president said he was going
and-
to make sure kids couldn't get access to
And
these
we're
vape
watching
pens.
Luke vape right now. So,
Yep.
what do you think of that, Luke? Because my first fear was, Luke needs to know about this. And then I didn't text you.
And I'm
So
like, you know what?
I
No,
still care
trust
about.
me.
I still care about you, but I was like, I'm gonna text Luke. And I'm like, nah, it's cool.
Too much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look. Here's the deal. First of all, there's been 7 deaths.
That's a lot.
Attributed to vaping.
That's a lot.
But most, if not all of those, are attributed to THC vaping. Now, considering the
Your
fact,
sister does that.
yes, she does. Now, considering the fact that like there are 2 fucking states in the United States that have legal marijuana, and
There's only 2.
yeah,
Or one of
Colorado and
Here?
California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought
That's
that
it?
was like
That's
shitload
it.
more.
No, there's a shitload more that are like, medicinal marijuana. Where you
We're recreational
Recreational,
use.
yes.
That's
We're-
what you're
we're-
saying.
Oh,
yeah.
so you could just party. I didn't even know. I thought
Yeah.
like Portland or
Yeah.
Oregon was okay.
Was it Oregon or is
I
it
don't know.
Colorado? I thought
No,
it was
Colorado.
is
Yeah.
recreational
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
but
They were first, yeah.
But but I think medicinal use.
Medicinal use is about like 35 states now. But there's still a huge demand for marijuana and marijuana products, and so like of course there's going to be an underground market for all of this stuff. And in that underground market, you're going to find people who are going to cut corners, try and do things, and create funky juices that on first impressions do the trick, but like with prolonged use are going to fuck you up. I've been vaping nicotine for almost 9 years now. And I remember the first time I actually bought a e-cigarette pen was when I was traveling to Europe. And like I didn't want to fucking like be stuck in a plane for 12 hours without like my nicotine, and I knew I'd be able to vape in a plane as long as I was being discreet.
I want somehow there's a vapes on a plane joke. Up there.
No. It's just
There's motherfucking vapes on these planes.
it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And I've through the use of these e-cigarettes, I've been able to stop actually smoking like physical tobacco, and
But it's safer now to smoke physical tobacco.
No, I don't think
No?
so.
Okay.
I think because of, like I definitely feel I could breathe deeper now. I definitely feel like I can't I don't stink as much, and I've even gone so far as to lower the amount of nicotine I inhale.
So what are people getting sick on, do you think?
I believe they're getting sick on these bathtub, like
a homemade
homebrew
homebrew?
of fucking chemicals to hold like THC and
So it's like somebody's taking THC liquid
yeah
but mixing it with something.
to make it vapable.
Like an oil or something.
Because
Yeah,
it's a
like-
higher temperature,
Right, like,
or
yeah.
lower temperature.
They're
probably
like
if it's
using
oil.
like I think there was a point where they were saying like vitamin E was being detected in these people's lungs, which is an oil, and I guess they were
wow.
using it to suspend the chemicals inside there.
Wow.
I'm don't like mess around with like weird formulas and this and that, so I just kind of order my stuff directly from the company, and I've never had any problems. And
Let's hope not.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, look, here's the thing. Like,
is this something you could detect? Like if we sent Luke here to the doctor and said, "Hey,
I get an
can
annual.
you do like a
I'm
checkup?"
getting. I think next month I'll have my annual physical, so I'll have it
We'll
checked
find out,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that like I don't think anything's changed because, like I said, I've been going to annual physicals now for like forever, and I've been vaping for
So
forever.
you have no fear
Yeah.
with a vape. Let's put it that way.
No
Okay.
fear at all. No
Cool.
fear at all. Because I mean, like, I think that like, here's another thing. Like, look, it's not like this is fucking making me any healthier either. I mean, to a certain degree, because yes, I'm not inhaling incombustible.
Better than cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like it's still a stimulant. It still constricts my blood vessels. It still kind of complements things like heart disease and other fucking diseases. And it's not completely. We don't know for sure exactly because it's still a new technology and still new chemicals. We don't know exactly for sure like what it is necessarily doing to our bodies. If I get lung cancer from it, then like, yeah, I mean, like I accepted that as a potential risk, But
you might become a hermaphrodite.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that was the first thing I
Yeah.
thought of.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, you kind of froze for a second. I was like, is it you? Are you starting to grow something?
Or is something beginning to like, get sucked in,
I don't know. Anyway, okay.
So,
We just
yeah.
don't. But you kept saying we don't know, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
It could be made by vampires. It could
Yeah.
be
Who knows?
slowly turning you into.
I've been watching that one fucking vampire mockumentary show.
What We Do in the
the
Shadows.
Yeah. It's not as good as the movie, but like, yeah,
Movie was had a lot of impact.
yeah, the movie was great.
All right, let's hear top fives, my man.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm guessing I'm gonna riff on my top fives.
Let's do it.
Well, so the story I thought you might be alluding to is this one. First off, I was annoyed the other day, number one, when President Trump came to town and he fucked up the traffic here.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the west side. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I'm on the east
It
side.
was
I
crazy
didn't get it.
it was crazy heading west from here because he had supposedly gone into Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So from here is, from Hollywood. And then I tried to go. So I thought I was going to dinner, and I thought, I'll go downtown instead. And I was going to go to Honda.
Oh, yeah.
And it took so long to like zigzag through fucked up traffic.
Yeah.
Like downtown itself was dead as a doornail. And then
The streets are blocked off,
the
right?
streets were well, no, they weren't.
They
I
were
mean,
for a
they may
while.
have been, but
Yeah.
like where I was driving, it
Oh,
was
because at that
was free and
but
easy.
at that hour, because I saw the what do you call those things? The Ospreys, 5 Osprey helicopters.
Oh yeah, the helicopters.
Those are on 4:00. It flew to Santa Monica Airport because
you
it flew right by here, and then
And then
that-
he stays at
yeah.
that gigantically tall Korean place. Is that correct?
no,
Downtown,
I have no idea.
like the tallest building in LA, but it's like fake. It's got
Oh, yeah, that weird
like a
fucking
flag
thing.
or something on top.
Oh, that's a hotel.
It is a hotel.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was a hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe after that he went. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I feel like he probably went to bed at like 4:00
could be.
because it would be 7:30 on the East Coast,
Right.
and so he'd have to be tired. The
Maybe.
old guy,
Maybe.
my opinion. That he's old.
And that guy doesn't sleep though, from what I understand.
Oh, he fucking sleeps. He's not a
He
fucking.
probably, it's the math keeping him up 2 or 3 days at a time, and then he sleeps for like 4 days.
4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, and then his Twitter handlers just pretend he's awake by plugging info.
He does
in.
not have Twitter handlers, man. That guy. I mean.
Well, when his Twitters are spelled correctly, that's somebody else.
Right.
It's definitely not him.
Well, I mean,
Just because his hands are so small, I don't think he can reach the whole keyboard.
Shit.
No, the POTUS stuff, the POTUS Twitter feed is definitely handlers.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
But like his. I mean,
His POTUS one sounds like a documentary being written by sycophants about him. It's weird. It sounds completely unreal. His own Twitter sounds like him, but I think he also has writers for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
My guess.
Yeah, it's probably like a third him, 2/3, fucking.
Maybe even 2/3 him, but I
Yeah.
think there's definitely a chunk in there that's saying stuff when he's busy or, there's been moments where he's done like a photo shoot in the Rose Garden and he's released a tweet at the exact time stamp that he was in the Rose Garden. So like, they're like, so it's not him.
Yeah, but definitely, I mean, like,
Oh, that he could set timers on that shit.
Yeah.
Can't you? Can you?
TweetDeck. Yeah, use TweetDeck.
Oh, I don't use TweetDeck.
Yeah,
But like,
you
you
could
know.
do
I need
time
to
them.
get you guys to do my Twitter
You could.
since
No,
I don't
thanks.
have one.
But you could time your Twitters.
Anything you want to write, just
Well, acknowledging the fact that he's waiting on our Saudi Arabian overlords to tell him
What to
whether or
do.
not, is
Yeah.
definitely all Trump.
yeah.
No fucking like stooge from the fucking White House would, dare write that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Speaking of downtown, my number 2 is that I went to. You probably have both spoken about this already. The Alamo Draft House
I've not been.
I have not been.
downtown.
No, I heard it's open.
What is it?
No, it's a movie theater.
It's a movie theater.
It's the Mondo, the Mondo people's.
The Mondo people started
yeah.
in Austin.
Yeah.
I think. And they show first run, but also older movies.
Oh.
And they do like festivals, like it's Back to the Future month or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it, the screen size is smallish.
Yeah.
But so every seat is like a leather, fully reclining seat.
Oh.
And they have, so there's no row behind you. So you can fully, you're not bothering anybody. And then they have like a little, kind of like, those school desks that have the desk built in.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this desk built in. And on top of that is this little box of papers where you can write a menu. And then they have a full menu, like a full vegan menu.
Oh, you could write an order for them.
And you can write in an order. And so I had like quinoa and roast vegetables.
Oh,
Wow.
Lovely.
But you can also go there, if you go for an early show, you can actually get like brunch food.
Ooh.
And they've got all the normal stuff, popcorn, endless bowl of popcorn. It comes in like a big metal bowl.
Fuck.
And their drinks come in regular plastic cups, like not, like a fast food cup, but like a full on cup. But the cool thing is their system. So I went to see It. That's what I was checking out. So it's a long movie, right?
How was it, by the way?
Oh, 3 hours long. Right?
Yeah.
I heard
Was it good? Is it worth watching? Don't tell me anything. Just,
Is it worth watching? If you're a big fan of it.
I like the first one.
I liked the first one a lot.
Yeah.
This one, I'll just say, overall, I wasn't as impressed by the effects. So that's me. But while you're watching the movie, if you decide so they come around and grab your order before the movie even starts, of course.
Sure.
But then during the movie, if you decide I'm thirsty now or whatever, you can take out one of those cards, write on it, and then you flip the card upwards, and these dudes swoop down.
So they're watching?
They're watching, but I mean, they're so efficient, it's mind-blowing.
Wow.
And they do not get in your way at all. It's just like this whole, it's like the size of the screen and stuff almost pushes this to the level of you're just watching this in your living room with friends.
Yeah. Well, I think the maximum size, isn't the biggest theater is 99 seats or something like that?
Yeah, the particular one I was in even felt possibly smaller.
Yeah. I heard the biggest is
they've got a dozen theaters.
Yeah.
Have you been
Maybe
to an
more.
iPic? It sounds kind of like an iPic.
I've been to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like iPic has they're not leather, but they're really comfy reclining seats, and everyone's in their own kind of weird cubby kind of thing.
They got food.
They have
Yeah.
a full menu
Yeah.
and drinks and and they give you popcorn in the beginning.
Yeah, these guys had a full bar. They had,
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a nice little spot downtown. It's a great, it's right off the metro stop, so you can get out and whatever.
Nice.
But they also have their own parking lot, easy in and out. So that was good, and that leads me to my number 3, which is that this is right prime time of year for me to start watching the horror movies. I, for some reason, become very nostalgic for horror movies at this time of year, leading up into Halloween, I guess.
Sure.
But I have this fascination with a couple different genres, but one of them is definitely horror movies where there's a type of fantastical suburban neighborhood that only exists in movies. That I think the Steven Spielberg E.T. neighborhood.
Sure.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean? There's and possibly he used it in Poltergeist. And you see it in the Scream movies, where they all the kids go to a house to watch horror movies together, and it's this kind of perfectly designed fantasy house for kids to fuck around in.
Right.
It's not a real house at all, really.
Right.
So I'm fascinated by that.
So you watch horror movies to look at the architecture?
Yeah.
That's what you're telling me? Okay.
Yeah, I've been watching the background architecture
Wow.
of these horror movies. I was thinking it'd be a great thing to paint, was just the background of a scene from a horror movie, not any of the characters or blood or anything, and just try to kind of pull that out somehow. That's my own fascination, and then at least
Maybe there'll be people lining up to buy those, right, Luke?
Yeah, you
probably.
never know.
That's one that I probably will be covering my own walls with. But that leads me to my ultimate. So I guess we're on 4 now. My favorite genre of movie of all time is the hunting humans genre.
Oh.
So there's a huge legacy of those, and that brings me back to Trump, who made comments about one that Blumhouse was trying to put out called The Hunt. Have you heard of this?
I think I did. I think I saw a trailer for that. Is there a trailer?
There was, and then it's been pulled.
Oh, okay. Because I know I saw it.
Because they decided to pull the movie completely. And
because Trump fucking commented on it?
Yes, because so the movie it's one of those conservative misunderstandings that turns into them boycotting something that they just because they decided like, oh, and they're no one's going to look at any of the source material. They're just going to be angry about this situation. But basically, it's a movie about a world in which the wealthy can hunt the poor.
Right.
Okay.
And there's been a series of those movies, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Like Ice-T was in one of them.
Yep. The game or something like that.
Well,
Running the Game, I think.
Wasn't there one? It came from a book called The Most Dangerous Game.
Most Dangerous Game, and that's the first one.
A novel.
There's actually a black and white movie with Vincent Price, I believe, called and the Most Dangerous Game.
So wait, is the Running Man part of this too?
I would say the Running Man is. I include the Running Man, although it verges a little bit on that sci-fi kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but it's
yeah. There's one called Turkey Shoot, I think. Turkey Shoot 2000 or something, and it's got like Steve Railsback, who played Manson in the original Helter Skelter movie, and Elizabeth Hussey, who was in Romeo and Juliet. She played Juliet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the weirdest cast.
Wow.
And then they're chased around the Australian outback by these vicious prison guards. It's like this weird. There's another one called, I think it's called Panic Park or something like that. But it's basically like when you're in prison, they will let you go free if you can run across the desert and get out.
Oh, wow.
But they make it impossible. Of course, they're chasing you with, vehicles and guns.
So wait, what about Battle Royale? Does that count or not?
Battle Royale is I think close to a hunting human movie because they all end up hunting one another.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing, like there's that one with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Hard Target, which was like John Woo's first American movie, and it did terribly. And kind of wrecked his American career, I think. But he he's trying to save or help a girl find her father. Turns out her father's been killed. He was hunted to death, and so then he gets himself in trouble with these guys that are hunting homeless vets. And they want it to be vets so that it's a good hunt.
Wow.
So it's talking about the homelessness and hunting humans.
So it's definitely a class kind of thing, is when you think
usually. Of. Yeah, I think so.
This should be a film festival for that theater.
Yes.
The Andrew Brandou Festival, which is hunting humans.
Hunting humans at Alamo Draft House.
Yeah.
All which the Alamo was kind of hunting humans in a way.
To a certain degree, yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yep.
Wow, that's an interesting genre.
Yeah. So that leads me to my number 5, which now you can see how this all fits together. It's all coming together now. So when I was driving home on the same night that Trump was in town,
which was yesterday. Yesterday or day before yesterday?
I think day before.
Yeah, day before.
I crossed a bridge that I cross very often, and it's at the corner of Bronson and Hollywood, where there's a Tommy Burger, and it takes you over the 101.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And on that particular overpass, there have been recently a few tents put up by homeless individuals.
I've seen that, yeah.
Okay. And there were people with printed protest signs protesting these tents.
Oh, wow.
What?
And they said on them things like...
No tents.
No tents.
Yeah.
Past tense, future tense. They said...
Damn.
I know.
Da-dum.
Yeah. Dad jokes.
Awesome.
But they said things like, follow the law, take down the tents.
Wow.
But what's the law? I think that's all made up. There's no law that tents... In fact, it's kind of, if there was a law, I think they'd be taken down more quickly.
Yeah.
But especially in LA, there's no law that you can't have these tents.
I guess you could have litter. You could block a sidewalk. Those are only, there's stuff. But they're not
I
enforcing that.
didn't
Yeah.
even know people were protesting.
But it
these
was weird.
people.
They're not
It was weird.
enforcing
They're-
that anyway.
Rather
There's
than,
no
like-
enforcement.
But they're
right now.
protesting it because Trump has said one of his deals and in coming over here was that he was going to get rid of the homeless, or that he's going to help
Care-
us.
Oh, you mean hunt them?
Yeah. Well, this is see, you
Oh.
brought it back for me.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think reason he doesn't want the movie The Hunt to come out is that it's too close to home. I think he's actually going to be hunting humans. Well, his sons, at
Yeah,
least,
his sons definitely.
likely.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, he's just facilitating these hunts, which will obviously take place in Saudi Arabia.
Whoa.
I'm assuming.
Whoa.
Whoa, that was a full circle of top 5 isms.
That's my top 5.
Wow. And with puns too. A little bit of puns in there. Very, very good. I love the puns.
I can't believe that there were people actually protesting like the homeless. Like that is so fucking lame.
And also lame because they were doing it in an area. First off, they were all standing. Were they standing near the tents? No. Were they standing on the sidewalk? No. They were standing over in the driveway of a firehouse. So it's weird. They were like basically at the safest place that you could possibly be away from these people
Wow.
that they're protesting.
Wow.
You know, I mean, just a block away, there's an underpass. It's the one I think that goes down Argyle from Franklin to Hollywood, and it's maybe Gower Street, but it is like a homeless encampment that's been there for a very long time, and those guys are very aggressive. Like they'll run at your car, aggressive. You know, like
like
if you're gonna-
zombies?
Yeah.
Like zombies. So,
Like
so
that.
who were the protesters? Were they all white people?
I'm gonna say yes, but
Thank you.
You know what?
Yeah, thank you. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Depends on the town, man. If you're
Yeah.
in like
I
fucking
didn't-
like K-Town, it's all going to be Koreans.
Yeah. I didn't take any photos
You
of these
know?
guys, but
You
yeah,
know, like
they
you know,
appeared to be white.
was it's the NIMBY people, you know?
yeah, the
Yes.
NIMBYs. Oh, well, you know what? Koreatown, oh, man. That's a very powerful like neighborhood for protesting and protests or neighborhood council related stuff. When they were going to build a bridge home or something like that, you know, just for like basically just to help really like people get out of homelessness.
Right.
And they voted hardcore to not build one there, and they went apeshit over it. Like made so much noise that I think they're not building it there. The NIMBYism is very strong there in Koreatown, really powerful.
Fucking NIMBYs.
Whereas
man.
here it was like, yeah, build one here because they're gonna build one here.
Yeah.
But there it was just like, no, absolutely not. And then it was the other thing in Koreatown was they wanted to add a little Bangladesh in Koreatown, like a block to make, and it had like a record amount of people came out and voted no to that, and it was in Koreatown, like a high number. I was like, fuck, yeah, we can't mobilize 100 people in this neighborhood, but that one, thousands and thousands and thousands came out to say no
Oh my God.
to little Bangladesh, which is like they wanted one block in Koreatown, like thousands. Anyways, I thought that was interesting.
You like
Koreatown's
Why do I
Koreatown's
feel
strong.
like I just passed a little Bangladesh?
There is a block in there that has like some Bangladesh businesses in Koreatown, but maybe it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they will not get a street sign that says Little Bangladesh.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not happening. No. Maybe you could do a little Korea or something, or you could do something like that. You know, but it's hardcore. Anyways,
Yeah, NIMBYs, man.
good job. Top 5 was that was a really creative top 5.
That was great.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
So I made it up on the fly for you
that was
guys.
pretty good.
I don't usually do things by the numbers.
I like the hunting humans part.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I
Well,
never.
because it had to bring it to Halloween
But I
and
like
to
watch-
Trump.
Those movies they're freaky.
They are freaky, and it's incredible that there's so many of them that
Yeah.
it's a genre.
And I can't believe Ice-T was
I
in one
didn't
of
even
them.
know
That's
it was
funny.
a fucking genre. I used to. I mean, like, I actually like the hunting human genre a lot more than like some weird sci-fi horror kind of like genre.
Yeah, there's a realism to it that's
So is Rambo considered a hunting humans? The first one?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I mean, they were hunting him.
First Blood.
First Blood, yeah.
But
I
it was more of a
definitely think
defensive kind. Well,
But they were hunting him like a
well,
whole
they
bunch.
They
Yeah.
weren't hunting him. They were trying to get him because he fucking killed someone. You know.
So they were hunting him.
Well, he didn't
Yeah.
kill. He killed accidentally.
Or
the
he maimed.
police,
Yeah,
but they put him in jail first.
Right.
He killed someone in self-defense.
Right. God, that movie was so good. I loved that movie when I was a kid, but
Yeah,
I've only seen
that
it a
one's
couple of times.
Awesome.
And
I
then-
don't know why he wiped out on the motorcycle though. That one part. I don't know.
Oh,
It was
when
like,
the road was wet.
well, he was going up the hill, and all of a sudden I'm like, dude,
Oh.
did you really do that? Lame.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't remember that.
He left it in there.
yeah.
He didn't edit it out. He could have.
Okay.
And the new Rambo's coming out.
Yep.
A
Yep.
new- I wonder how it is.
Last Blood.
Last Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of became kind of a superhero. Like
Beyond. I remember when people used to compare Reagan to Rambo.
No.
No.
What?
Seriously, you don't
No.
remember this at all?
No.
Oh wow. Yeah, that was like I guess a political humor / like when you say somebody's like, oh, he's an American cowboy.
Right.
Like people used to call Reagan. They're not saying that he's cool and tough like Rambo. They're saying he's like a loser who wishes he was Rambo. But they would say like, oh, those Americans, Reagan's like a
Reagan.
Rambo.
Oh, wow.
You know what I love? I love those crazy paintings of like Trump where like they give him like the full like, ripped body and stuff like that.
Yes, those are great.
Oh my God, they're so good. There's
Who's the guy, the main guy who paints like all of these?
Oh, I know.
And they're supposedly full of metaphor, and they're
Right.
like really great. And he did one recently where Trump was like a football player.
Yeah, football player, and like all these people were like all these libtards were chasing him, and he was
Yeah.
he was like slamming him down on his way to the touchdown.
Where do you see this? Is it just the online type of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
the only thing, and it was like that painting specifically was kind of like big in discussion, like
Is his name McNaught or something like that?
I
This
can't
artist?
remember.
Weird.
But like there's another kind of another genre of art that I'm completely fascinated by, and I kind of collect whenever I see prints of, and that is like Asian or Chinese Christian art.
Oh.
Where it's like they try and illustrate Bible stories with Chinese people.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
cool.
Yeah, like whenever I see that shit, I'm just like, holy shit, I can't believe this. This is fucking hilarious. And I like, just take one and put it in my files. And I have like a small collection.
Wow.
I have my mom, like my mom's a practicing Catholic, and I have her like, get that shit for me.
Wow. Did she know you were just gassing on it, like laughing?
Yeah,
Oh.
she knows.
Okay.
She doesn't.
She's not like, oh, Luke, you're doing such a great thing.
Yeah.
No,
Good job, Luke.
no. She
Anything that brings you closer to the Lord.
Yeah.
she's like of those liberal like religious types where it's like like, she's got her faith.
Yeah. Catholics are a little loosey goosey like that.
Some of them are.
They're not like the Baptists. I think in general are a little more uptight.
Oh, see, I don't even know the differences between those.
Born
two.
again Christians and
Oh yeah, like evangelicals. and-
evangelical Christians can be very, very uptight about that stuff.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
think it's funny.
No, I find it hilarious. And so like my mom is the type of she for a while she was going to this Sunday schoolish kind of like thing that they were having at the church. And my mom would just think to herself, like, why the fuck should I care about any of these people? I'm Chinese. They're not Chinese. And I was just like, you are not being a good Catholic, Mom. and I'll just leave it at that. But Andrew, one of the things that I was really kind of intrigued by, and like because I've seen your work has evolved like pretty significantly. Like
Yeah, it
over,
changes.
over the days. Like I have one of your old paintings.
Okay.
It was from the Vivisect Playset show that I curated like way back in the early 2000s. I think like 2006 or something like that. And it was, your work had that like golden book kind of quality about it, and they were all kind of like twisted and stuff, but like you're then you do these really kind of weird experimental series of paintings. Like the one that really has always left kind of an impact on me was this series of paintings that were inspired by like the couple that were doing meth, and in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that was called Hell for Copernason.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was it was all very metaphorical to a certain degree, because like you had like a fox character or a wolf character. I don't remember what that it was symbolic of, because like they were the real story is there's these two kids in a car lost in the middle of nowhere on a cell phone trying to contact someone to help them figure out how the fuck how to get out of wherever predicament they were in. It's the middle of winter. It's freezing outside.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they leave the car and then they freeze to death.
Yeah. They
That's kind of what happens.
it is.
I mean, when people,
They were on meth, and they actually ditched their car and told the cops that it had flipped and they had been in an accident. And people think maybe that's because there was meth found in the car, and that they were like not wanting the cops to find the meth, but they were totally lost, so they wanted help. They ended up getting themselves over to what was later revealed to be like a gravel pit, basically, like a place where they were, digging up gravel and stuff. And there was like a farm nearby. And they were so high that they were calling the police. The problem was that they were on like this weird border of a couple of different counties or possibly states. And so every one of their 911 calls, every other one would go to a different 911 dispatcher.
wow.
And so they were calling and thinking they were having a conversation with the same people. And in the background, those people didn't know what the hell was going on. And then they finally called each other and were like, are you getting calls from these people? Like, we think they're really in trouble. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. They said that there was people there, but the people wouldn't talk to them. And so a lot of these phone calls were online. And so the lady says to them, give them the phone, let me talk to them, realizing that like this guy's high or something. So she'll talk with these people. And they're like, every time we walk up, they run away. And the lady's like, well, honey, just call them over and, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, they won't come near us. And then they realize later that that was a herd of cows.
Whoa.
And so, they were kind of beyond help. And that was my idea of hell, though, was freezing to death.
Right.
In those situations. They weren't even really aware how fucked up they were. I mean, they were bad off. And because they were high on meth, they were hot.
Yeah.
So they took off layers of clothes and thus sped up their freezing to death.
Hypothermia.
Yeah.
Also, like, isn't it hypothermia before, I don't know, it turns up backwards, like you're really cold, but then it feels hot? So, like,
as it goes, you feel hotter and hotter.
and supposedly, like, if you die of hypothermia, you're actually, like, it's supposedly, they say you feel really good. Like,
Wow.
yeah. Remember that there was the guy who, him, his wife, and kids, their car got stuck or something in the snow, and he was found. So the wife and kids got rescued, and he left the car to get help, and he was found naked or something in a shallow pool of water. Basically, hypothermia. He stripped naked and was in the water.
Wow.
Like freezing, and like basically was dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really sad. That was like probably 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now your work has
Sorry, it has to do with
transitioned
your
to-
work. That has.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I mean,
That show
Scary.
left a deep impression on me. Like, it's one of those like shows that like I was like, what the fuck am I looking at here? And then like you had this big like fucking like like explanation of like what you're trying to explore,
illustrate. Yeah.
and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then like whenever that story comes up, like because it comes up sometimes in YouTube because like when you're into like weird fucking tragic deaths and stuff like that, of course that story comes up. And now your most recent work, like you've kind of like you're like you've started moving toward this kind of abstracty, like it's abstract in a sense and patterny kind of.
Absolutely.
My
My last show, which was at Corey Halford, was part of a group show, and so the backstory to that thing is that I had done a series of paintings for a long time, and even the paintings you're describing, they had like, instead of humans, I would have like bunnies be the main characters, and maybe a wolf would be a meth dealer or something. Like I would assign animal types to different personality traits. And so through a series, I think Hell was 35 paintings. And so through that series, you'd be able to recognize these repeating characters and kind of follow the story. And as it went on, then the bunny character kind of evolved into being representative of myself. There was a series of paintings where that bunny was like lost in a maze and stuff when I was personally feeling kind of lost and whatnot. And, you know, it changed over time. And then I had a break from painting and focused on working on some stuff. I worked on a television series called Cosmos. And
with what's his name?
Neil Tyson.
Neil
deGrasse
Tyson. Yep.
Yep. And I got really invested in that and basically took like 2 years, just didn't paint anything.
Is that show still on? I mean, I feel like I haven't heard of it in a second.
We've finished a second season of Cosmos, but Neil, and I don't want to put it all on Neil, but Neil had a
Me
kind of
Too?
Me Too situation.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's having a hard time, I think, finding its place to air.
Really? Shoot, how about the Robot and the Bear podcast website?
I know.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's not going to work out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I thought
wasn't
he was
that like taken care of?
Yeah, I thought I thought that was all clear and done.
Well, you can tell that to Disney and see what they think about that. I can say that every time I've ever looked at those articles where they say he was cleared, that if you look at the comments to their articles, people's attitude is not so forgiving. And I think when Disney bought Fox and had to start assessing what they had, and they also bought Nat Geo, which Nat Geo was Fox's partner on Cosmos. The Disney Plus platform that's coming out, right, is going to have these kind of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pillars: Marvel, Star Wars, Disney stuff,
Simpsons, and
one of them was Nat Geo. And putting a show on where the host has been accused of something in the Me Too movement, whether it was all okay or not, I think is a tough sell. And I think that they're sort of wondering what to do with that. I mean, they also own Family Guy and American Dad, which probably will slide over to Hulu as opposed to being on Disney Plus.
Right.
So maybe Hulu might become a home for Cosmos or something if they consider it too adult at that point. But who knows? You know what I mean? I'm not. That is so above my pay grade. I have no idea.
Right.
You know.
But so you're saying that like this entire that Me Too movement is still definitely having an impact on Neil deGrasse Tyson's stuff.
I think it has an impact on the public's perception of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Really? I don't know. I guess I haven't heard a thing about it lately. Like.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think the same can be said though about John Lasseter. You didn't hear a thing about him either. I mean,
but I think he's a bad guy.
Well, but Coco came out and they disappeared him very professionally. Like they, you know, he wasn't on any of the press tours. They basically told him to go stay at your house or whatever.
But that guy's done, right? Like,
well, I mean, he's done-ish, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing is that I think that what they're doing to Neil is sort of disappearing him.
No, he was on fucking whatchamacallit.
Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
That's good for millions of people to hear him. But they didn't even address that, right?
Yeah.
They didn't address the Me Too thing at all on there.
Which is weird for Joe to leave out
I thought
completely.
So too. Yeah.
But I think that's part of the disappearing.
Yeah.
I think that's part of so time may pass and they'll decide to air it wherever they want to air it. But I mean, I finished that show a very long time ago. I can tell you. So
that sucks.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's not going away though.
No.
Neil? No. I don't think so. I mean,
maybe that show will.
Hayden will still have him, of course, and he's a great public speaker.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying. That show will just not be there, but then he'll do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't even watch an episode of Cosmos with him on it, so you know.
He could just make another show called Universe or something.
Oh, he has more than one.
Oh, okay. See, there you go.
Yeah.
So
in fact, Nat Geo started running his other show.
Oh.
Again, they had pulled it at the time of his problems, and then I don't mean to minimize his problems in any way, but they pulled it and then had started airing it again. But I think Cosmos is just so. I want to say it's such a boutique enterprise. It's very special. And it's very close to everyone's heart that nobody wants it to be tainted. And so I think they're trying to just really make sure that there's not going to be any sort of reaction to it. Because they already, I can tell you from having done the first season, they already get a very negative reaction from a lot of people just for being a show about science. I mean, just fundamentally that.
That's
Well, is that
you're right.
Does it have anything to do with the general anti-science sentiment that is going on?
That's
out
what I'm
here?
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens, and so
I forgot about that. That's like a good 1/3 of the people or more, right?
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's.
They don't like science.
You know, I found overwhelmingly that the reaction was positive, but I live in Los Angeles, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Don't have the same
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah.
stuff.
I forget there's people out there who don't believe in science.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Or are threatened by it. I think they believe it, but it's
No, they don't believe it.
I don't know.
I mean, I believe in
know.
mountain lions, but I'm still threatened by them. Generally.
No, but like,
So back to I took off a couple years, and then I started doing this series where the rabbit had come back, and the rabbit now had a friend with him, this giant. And this giant was either protecting the rabbit, or maybe helping the rabbit, or maybe a consciousness of the rabbit. But so that became a new character that I played with for a series of paintings where this rabbit and this giant kind of sort of went on adventures together, let's say. And the giant was painted black and had flowers tattooed on him, let's say, often against the night sky that would be the exact same black. So there was sort of a question of like, is the giant actually there? Is it an apparition? What's going on? Because the bunny was most definitely painted to appear solid.
right.
And then getting to the abstraction point, I came to a point where I wanted to kind of finish painting those paintings. And I had done a series where the giant was more on his own, sort of. And then I went back to introducing the rabbit, but the rabbit was meditating on the giant. And these abstract paintings that I did recently, and my show is called Mandalas, they're all based on kind of a mandala format, are sort of like what the rabbit would see if he meditated upon himself and the giant. And so they're very abstracted because there's not a linear thread going on in meditation, but there's repeating forms. And so the giant is in there mixed amongst stars and planets and very poppy kind of almost Peter Maxian psychedelia. And then to me that's the end of that. Like now that's gone. So now I'm starting a new with who knows what. I may start more strict storytelling like I was before, or maybe a combination kind of storytelling and
You need to like compile these things and fucking start putting them on your social media. Note: Andrew Brandou does not take good care of his social media.
it's true.
Because like this entire evolution and storytelling and and then like the way you rationalize it and like philosophize over it is it's all very fascinating. Like I didn't know anything about all of this, and I mean it makes sense, especially like when especially in a like art reflects life kind of way. Like, I always kind of appreciate that the most, because I often want it to be like that. I want artwork to be to a certain degree autobiographical. I want it to reflect on like the way the artist thinks, the way the artist sees the world, and I want it to come off like that, and it, from the way you're just describing things, it sounds very much like that, and to be able to like kind of like develop entire like styles, because like we were looking at like one of your pieces for the psychedelic show that was earlier this year.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about the process in which you were painting them, and it was all like fucking like tape masks and all this other crazy shit.
Very analog. I paint very very It's hand. Yeah.
You know, but like just like cutting masks and fucking peeling masks and all this other shit. It's just like, oh my god, like I could never fucking do that. Like especially the cutting the masks, like
Yeah.
you know, to get these like thin lines and somewhat even lines all the way across. It's like I'd run a computer to fucking do all this shit for me because fucking it's just too fucking much of a pain in the ass to fucking do it. And then fucking laying down the fucking tape fucking tight enough so the paint doesn't creep underneath the fucking paint, you know. I'm so bad at masks. But anyways,
Well, I can teach you how to do them. I'm pretty good with the masks.
I will definitely need your advice.
I mean, there's easier ways to do them, sure, but I kind of enjoy that part of the process. I mean, for me, given a show, let's say, I come up with a theme and I come up with the sketches, and let's say I'm given 6 months to do it or a year to do it. A good half of that time is spent with me researching, the subject matter. For instance, with the Hell show you described, I researched that a lot. I tried to track down those people. I tried to, become familiar with the area that they were in. I found photo reference, recordings, news stories, all sorts of things,
Wow.
That's awesome.
When I did the Jim Jones show, I contacted, the religious studies department of UCLA. I talked to the guy that runs the Jones archive there. I looked through hours of stuff. I mean, listened to hours of stuff. He recorded 900 or more hours of tape. I looked through all sorts of articles. I spoke to people that were survivors of Jonestown and tried to get, as enriched as I could in that thing. From that point on, it's process. And I enjoy the process, right? But, the process is very rigid in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in a way, I don't mess with my process very much. I just kind of get a little bit better at it, maybe.
Sure.
But, it's a process where I can have people come by and help me because I can teach them, like, oh, this is how you, spray with an airbrush, or this is how you peel these briskets, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Next time you need any help on a show, let me know. I'll come in because I need to learn how to use an airbrush. And, I know the basics of it. Like it's not hard to figure out.
How many people survived that Jim Jones, the final, whatever you call it, suicide?
Not very many. In fact, by survivors, I'm talking about like family members who didn't even go.
Oh, okay.
And, his son survived. They weren't there.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was 931.
Like, did anyone live there? No, everyone died. Huh?
No, a couple people fled into the.
Oh, did they?
Jungle.
Some people fled.
Yeah.
And fled, and they were chased too, weren't they?
Oh no, there was gunmen around. They were looking for him for sure. Yeah. It wasn't.
Well, back to human hunting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would I like human hunting? So that happened when I was 10, Jonestown.
Okay.
And I was going to Catholic school at the time.
Oh.
And so my next oldest sibling is 13 years older than me. And then there's another girl that's, I think, 2 or 3 years older than her. And then an older brother that's older.
Wait,
so you're the youngest.
Wait, so you're not sure how old your sister is?
No, not precisely.
Oh, all right. Fine. All right. Fuck them, man.
They're too old. They left the house when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Lost
Okay.
her. But no, I talked to them and stuff. But their
Why the gap? First
perception-
off, why is there such a gap? What happened?
I mean,
It's a
I think
huge gap.
if you got it so wrong 3 times in a row, you would be hesitant.
Yeah.
It just took practice to get
right.
me.
Okay.
Out of
There
the
you
way.
go. There you go. But anyways, go on. Sorry about that. Awesome. Eureka.
Nice.
Eureka.
Nice.
Gold at
Yeah,
last,
they
right?
figured it out. Years in the lab,
Yeah.
figuring it out. No, I was just an accident, I'm sure. I'm not even. It's not even a joke. And then they had a younger brother for me to be like a companion.
Shit.
You know what I mean? Like, I believe, But so their perspective on what was happening with Jonestown versus my Catholic school's perspective on what was happening with Jonestown was a very different situation, where their perspective was like, see, you don't trust anyone, never trust the man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like very, very, you know, and it was such a huge news story, and I heard about it so constantly at that time. And overall, the thing I got out of it was kind of afraid. You know, I was kind of frightened by that situation. And that is where most of my paintings are coming from all the time. The
Fear.
Hell story, the Manson series, the, you know, Jim Jones series. All this stuff is coming from a place of like, I'm going to try to work this out by painting it, studying it. You know, I do a ton of research, and all that is me attempting to like placate my childhood brain, you know, that still exists with me all the time, you know, figure out why I'm afraid of that, figure out what's freaking me. I think that's, you know, your paintings do this all the time, where you're clearly painting a kind of, and I don't want to speak for you, but it appears that you paint like a psychosis sometimes, like a fear about something, or like, you know, a feeling of being trapped, or a feeling of being, you know, in a tough spot.
Yes.
You know, for me, I find when I paint that stuff out, when I think about it and finally execute it, I feel like there's a release there.
Yeah, it's cathartic.
I believe so.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, that's a big part, I think, of why a lot of painters paint.
That's funny. Edwin Ushiro said something similar, right? Like the one paintings he was doing from like his youth, there were all these youth paintings.
Yeah.
And he said that those were all like based on his regrets. He once said that.
Wow.
So like he's painting things that he regretted, and then, you know,
Uh-huh.
therefore sort of like an exorcism or something.
Yeah.
It's like done with maybe. So
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
He's very much a storyteller.
Yeah.
I feel like with his.
yeah, but it's all personal, like something, you know.
I think that like, you know, I think that like that's just something that like a lot of, you know, especially a lot of, say, like the kind of art that is produced in Los Angeles, you know, like does. A lot of it has because a lot of it is so illustrative, you know, the the most interesting stuff. It has strong narrative elements, and maybe you don't, as an outsider, you don't really necessarily completely understand what's going on, but like, they have certain components that like are relatable, and whatever. Anyways, but it's interesting that you brought up like your childhood and stuff like that, because we were talking earlier this evening, and I'm kind of under the impression that you're like a genuine Angelino. Like, no, you weren't born here. You're from Michigan. You're from Michigan, but you seem to have moved here pretty early on in your.
Yeah. Oh, I've been here since '86, so been here for a while.
Right.
But I'm also.
Wait, did you go to college here?
Yeah, I did.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it for college?
Yeah.
What college did you go to?
It was called Otis Parsons at the time.
Oh.
Now it's called Otis.
So that was across street in MacArthur Park.
It was.
The Scream Club was right there.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I
Park
know.
Plaza Hotel.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Beautiful
It's right
place.
there.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not where it's located now.
No, it was MacArthur Park,
Oh.
drug park. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Dredge that lake for corpses, literally. So the first night I was here in Los Angeles proper, I was staying in Fullerton with my sister.
Yeah.
I came to Los Angeles to do the summer program, so I was in high school. And it was my senior year, so I was going to be in college the next year. And we were in their dormitory looking at just the street, 6th Street downtown. It's like basically 6th and Alvarado, or
Something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And this drunk guy came walking up the street. So I'm like, fish out of water, kind of like this kid from Michigan watching this drunk guy. You don't really see that in Michigan too often, wandering up the street. And he like kind of came onto the steps as if he was going to come up into the dormitory. And so we're all like these high school kids, and we're like laughing at this kind of and being like, oh my God, this is crazy, like whatever. And one of the people, like an RA, went down and was going to help the guy out, basically. And he had been stabbed and died.
Wow.
That night.
Wow.
So that was my first. So yeah, barrel of fun.
So the RA was a student, or is he just a?
He was a student. He was like, I'm not sure if he was in graduate school at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, but there was security there also. you know.
So was
We
that?
had an ambulance there. And
Were you
very,
studying
very
design, or
rapidly.
what was your focus
At
there?
that time, Otis had an illustration program.
Don't they still have an illustration program?
I don't think so. They have motion graphics. They
Yeah,
have fine arts.
Maybe that's what it is. Fine arts. I don't know if they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because like Nathan
Painting
Oda
class.
teaches.
I don't know if
He
it's
does.
I don't know if it's illustration though. I'm not
No,
sure.
it's not.
It's
not
perspective.
illustration.
He teaches a
Yeah, he
perspective
teaches
class for
perspective,
sure.
Right.
They have classes definitely in drawing and stuff like that. But I
Right.
don't think they have.
Yeah.
We had a dedicated illustration department. We had Everett Peck was our dean. George Andine taught there. Robbie Connell was one of
Wow.
the teachers there. Jeff Valence was teaching there at the time. It was a great staff. I mean, it was really interesting. I would ask them, because they were all showing art at galleries like Tamara Bain, La Luz de Jesus, you know.
Robbie Connell was just like the street artist.
He was
sort of.
street art all
famous,
over the
yeah.
place. Yeah. And Jeff Valence was showing it like the contemporary, and that kind of thing. And I would ask them all about like, what's the difference between illustration and fine art? 'Cause I was
Ooh.
always very
Good question.
on this fence of like, what am I?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm very drawn to illustration. I'm very drawn to technical skill.
Right.
And at the time at Otis, so this is the late 80s, to be in the fine art program and be illustrative was really tough. Like the majority of them, I think, were mastering in burlap sacks full of mud, you know, that kind of art.
Right. Right. Right.
And, you know, although I will say that one of our, I'm sure mutually our heroes, Camille Rose Garcia, was in the class that graduated at the same time of mine, and she was in fine art. So it can be done. You know what I mean? Like she has a very illustrative approach,
Yes.
I think, and a very storytelling approach.
Yes.
But at the time, I have to tell you, she was probably struggling a lot with this opinion that was not fine art.
Well,
you know,
It's
it was
also the
strange 'cause-
fucking like 80, like the late 80s we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. I mean, and Otis actually had one of the great before the infamous Helter Skelter show that was
Oh, I saw
downtown.
that.
Yeah.
I went to that. Did you go to that?
yeah.
Did you go to that?
Nope.
Oh man,
But I think I know of it.
that was pretty
Was
instrumental in
Was
LA.
it a mocha show? Like kind of.
Yeah.
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 At the Temporary Contemporary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to that.
Robert Williams and Raymond Pettibone, and you know what I mean, like this mix of
Yeah.
like high low going on that was really cool. I think it was before that show that we had a show, and I don't think it was the Western Exterminators show, although that's another one. But there was a show that was of Robert Williams. I think George Ann was in it. Neon Park was in it. Gary Panter may have been in it. But, you know, they were touting that as fine art. But it's all very illustrative.
Sure.
And the reaction to that from students was very much like, this isn't art. This is, you know, they just couldn't wrap their mind around that idea.
Right.
You know, of what I think that school has evolved into, which is, you know, the type of stuff that we see and do all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that like it was those shows that kind of helped and broaden the scope of what contemporary art can be?
Yeah.
Because I'm apprehensive of even referring to my own work as quote unquote contemporary art, because I think that like, you know, obviously the word contemporary has one word mean and has this one definition, art has another, but when you put those words together, it means something completely different.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like once in a while when I'm feeling a little daring, I'll like hashtag contemporary art in my fucking piece, but like, you know, but like,
well, I mean, that's a question. Is it art? Is contemporary art defined by the word contemporary, like being as in literally happening now? Because that's art that's happening now,
right?
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like it's contemporary, or is it mean that it's contemporaneous to something else that is supposedly blue chip or better, and therefore we can't reach that? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, you know, and
know.
then like, well, then you also have modern art, you
Sure.
know, which means something very different.
Which
from
modern art
contemporary.
is now all vintage, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like Andy Warhol and
Yeah.
fucking Basquiat is modern art.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like Tomorrowland at Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's no longer modern, right?
It's no longer tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
It's kind of like yesterday's
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny like that, right? You
Yeah.
know, but you know that. So like, but you asked your teachers this, and what would they have to say? Do you remember? Or
Oh yeah, Jeff Valens specifically. I remember crossing the street with him on 6th, heading towards the Park Plaza, and asking him that question, like point blank. What is the difference? I was really like trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yes.
And Jeff said he didn't know if there was any difference. And he's definitely a fine artist. There's no question that he's not an illustrator.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the time, he was doing shows that were incredible. I think he went into Mocha, and was during somebody else's opening, and replaced all of the electrical switch plates with ones that he had painted on, and then told people it was his opening that night. And so when they came in, they didn't know why everyone was looking down at the ground. And it's because they were looking at Jeff Valens's switch plates
Wow.
that he had put. Like, he did weird stuff like that. He went out of his way to meet the King of Tobago or something like that, and claimed he was an emissary from the United States, and got all these letters written from the king on this letterhead, and did a whole show about his trip.
Damn.
You know, like, he would do these very involved, but of course it's not illustration. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
But even he was kind of like not willing to draw a line between, you know,
not
those
willing
things.
at all. Yeah. Robbie Canal was not willing to draw that line. Yeah,
You
I
know
mean,
what
the illustration people were much more willing to draw that line, and they would draw it for themselves. They would say, I'm an illustrator because I do things people tell me to do for money, you know, and I have a skill set, and that's what I do.
That's actually the line that I've kind of feel distinct, you know, is distinctive between illustrators and not, you know, artists who are illustrative, you know, is this idea. I do illustration work, you know, when I'm doing stuff for a client, or I'm doing stuff for, you know, yeah, whether it's like, you know, pro bono thing or for money, you know, but then when I'm doing stuff for myself, I would consider my work illustrative. It's not illustration. I'm not being an illustrator for myself, or maybe I am being an illustrator for myself, but I don't see it that way. I feel like I'm just kind of expressing myself through a format that is considered
Illustration.
illustrative.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, like the Sistine Chapel was an illustration job.
Right. Of course.
You know, like there's a certain weird, you know, acceptance of some things being fine art and some things not, that it's tough to make that definition. But I think that you're right. You know what I mean? Like you can draw the line to, would I have painted this for my own edification, my own enjoyment? Is there any reason outside of that? Or am I painting this for cash? Because Joe over here will give me $50.
Sure.
Or am I painting this to wrap around somebody else's idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think that's, you know, like that there's a problem, like in design, there's a problem solving element.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, not that, I mean, like, you know, and it's a client's problem that I'm thinking about, not my own problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure, like a book cover or something.
like, or
something like that.
like, you know, an advertisement,
Sure.
an illustration to revolve around a rock poster, you know,
A band.
You know, like, you know, I recently did the cover for my friend's EP, and, you know, I created a painting that I thought reflected him, not me. You know, and I didn't want to do anything that reflected me because I didn't want to give him that. You know, so I was like, I'm gonna, you know, and so yeah, that's, yeah, and so there's like that, you know, there's a different kind of mentality kind of goes into creating that kind of work versus creating something that is supposed to be a reflection of myself, you know.
It also has to do, and I'm sure Eric can speak to this, but it's how is this artwork being consumed? Because you've got a space where you've got Rob's art on the wall. I consider it art, but you've got his books sitting here for sale.
Yep.
And I have seen those books on these walls, but
Yeah.
I still consider what's in those books to be illustration.
Pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, in his case, I would say that, I mean, he went with his process, but he definitely illustrated someone else's story, not his own story. And, I think that's kind of the difference there. If it wasn't his own story, I mean, it still might be an illustration, but he would have had a different intention.
Mm-hmm.
This was a job. The first one, the second one you're talking about, I never had his art, and it's really old. It's called Bearing Sandwiches. It was like an older book of his. That one's really personal, that story, but it still was a comic. Ultimately, a narrative comic. But yeah, I would say just depends.
Yeah. Comics are a weird, there's a weird gray area with comics. Like I like to collect mini comics, which generally are like hand done and stapled together.
Like zines.
Zines.
Sure.
Yep. And stuff where I see a big, huge like artistic potential in them, that they're not, there's no ad in the back for like grit or whatever.
Right.
They're solely.
They were often called minis for a while. They would just call it a mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that word's gone. It's they're just zines now, I think, or something.
You know what one of my favorite mini comics is? Chick Tract.
Yes.
Chick Tracts.
Those are good.
Yeah, I collected those for like a long time because I lived in San Luis Obispo, and that's a pretty like
You'd find
waspy fucking town.
You'd find them in
They'd have them all over the place.
People would be handing them out at the farmer's market, and I would like just be like, "Do you have any
Wow.
more?" And I was like, and I would collect them all, and they were the best.
I wonder if
That's
that
great.
was that his real name, Jack Chick?
T Chick.
Was that his real
In
name?
case you guys
Chick?
aren't familiar, what I'm talking about. Chick Tract is a fundamentalist Christian comic strip that like warned you about like you're going to go to hell, and it had like these really funny illustrations, really nicely done illustrations, but like funny
But
regardless.
it was very evangelical, and some of them even have what I would call disparaging remarks about like the Catholic Church not being a real church, and like they get into a fire and brimstone mode that's like, whoa, okay, a little bit unfamiliar.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of those lately, but I know he passed away, right, Jack Chick. But yeah, a friend of mine worked at was a writer from Giant Robot. Actually, he actually wrote a whole article about Jack Chick and tried to interview him. Went to his house and was almost stalking him because he couldn't get an interview with him. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, he wrote this long article about Chick Tracts. You don't really hear about them anymore. I don't know if they're.
It's funny. I think
they must be in print, but
the most recent, because there's parodies of them all.
Yeah,
over.
there's a lot of parodies. I don't want that. Shit.
There's zine parodies like non-religious.
Lots of, and Rick and Morty did a parody of it.
Oh no!
And it's called like The Perfect Morty or something like that, and it came with like a Blu-ray set or something.
Oh wow!
And that thing is like extremely expensive on eBay. Like people love it, but I don't know how many people realize they're looking at a parody.
That
of
time
thing.
might be
right.
It's already 10 years ago maybe when he passed
it's
away.
so separated from the reality.
Really quickly.
I started collecting the full comic books that they did too. Have you
Oh,
ever seen
I
these?
didn't know. Yeah.
Full color, and
Wow.
some of them are extremely violent and crazy.
So was he actually the artist, Jack Chick? Was he the artist or just a writer? Or
I think he was a writer.
just the publisher.
He was
or-
just
yeah.
Yeah. I think he was the
I
writer.
think, is he one of the? Did I read somewhere that he might be one of the most widely published author because
I hope so.
like literally there's just so much of that
Amazing.
made. Yeah, all for giveaway, right?
I really think he's as important a comic artist as not Jack Kirby, but he's up there with a lot of comic artists.
Well, there was a lot of different
Jack T.
styles of
Kirby.
illustration going on in the Chick Tracts.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I could tell like they had different illustrators for different publications.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they had great titles. Not that I can think of one right away.
I can't
but
think of
like,
that at all.
Like,
They would have ones about like rock music and going to the devil.
Halloween.
And,
Halloween was Dungeons and Dragons takes a role in one?
The last one I read, which I was in my studio and I saw my pile of chick tracts and I was just kind of like thumbing through them, and it was the one where like the guy like is burning in hell and suddenly he comes back to life and like has found like is going to do everything he can to change it around. Wow.
So it was all like a psychotic psych.
Or
I didn't
or
really
no,
kill you and
or
put you in
maybe he
hell.
did die. He died and he was in hell because he was just not. He didn't he didn't believe in God. He was an atheist or something like that. And and they're like if you don't want to be here, you gotta find the light of Jesus and all this other good stuff.
But they also have extremely low bar for getting into hell within the chick tracks. It's like, but wait, why am I in hell? You have a tattoo. Right. Wake up. Like there was a very low bar.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, okay.
Super religious.
Kind of turned me off.
Oh, I love that.
I think he lived somewhere like in Rancho Cucamonga or something.
Really?
Wow.
Something like that.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah. It was like just.
I can't imagine him living in a state like this one.
It was like it was in California.
Do you guys recall a guy named Tony Alamo?
Tony Alamo. No, I don't.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the Jack Chick tracks, Tony Alamo put out these tracks, but they were and they were everywhere when I was in school. So they would be every car window would get these things.
Wow.
And it was like a folded over 8.5 by 11 page, but sometimes multiple pages long, no illustrations, just like the densest type in the world. And it was like just a guy on a street corner ranting, right? And he was vehemently against the Pope and super against but every line would also have a parentheses with this really long link to a Bible thing that you were supposed to go look up at that moment to understand the last sentence. But it'd be every 3 sentences. So you'd have to have a Bible next to you to read the references he was making.
Wow.
And these things would go on and on and on. But the crazy thing is, they would be under car windshields all the time, and it was always different ones. I have a stack of these things.
That reminds me of this guy. Before I moved to LA, I had some friends who lived in Pasadena, and I'd go visit them and would go walking down into Old Town. And there was this guy, and I'd see my friend grab these taped up pieces of paper with some text on it, just taped up on signposts and and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, there's just some guy who just puts up these things, and she's been collecting them, and it's just weird shit. And even just a couple weeks ago, I was in Old Town Pasadena, and there's this guy just sitting there, and he has a briefcase open, and he's talking about some weird geopolitical fucking issue, and it's just whatever. And I'm and I donate $1 to the cause because it's he's working for that, I hate giving money to people who are just laying there and expect me to give them money. But if you've got some weird fucking philosophical crazy shit going on there, you earned it, buddy. Yeah. I'm giving you a fucking
he's doing hard work.
Exactly. Yeah. He cares. So, but going back to the past, one of the things that we brought up is this store that was infamous to me, when I first moved here, and that Eric is obviously familiar with, and that's called Span of Sunset.
Oh yes, man.
Yeah. And it was it was it was kind of a mystery to me because it's on Sunset obviously, but
it was supposed to be a mystery to everyone. I think that was part of the mystique of Span.
You drive by it and all you see is a silhouette of a helicopter.
Yeah.
And
black helicopter.
Did it have a neon color behind it?
In fact, I designed that sign.
Yeah.
So I designed the neon.
There was a neon. Okay.
It was 2 neons.
Was it red?
It was red and yellow, so
Okay.
that it would fade behind the silhouette like a sunset.
Oh.
Was my theory.
Did it work? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It worked, yes.
I don't
It
remember
looked beautiful.
I don't remember the yellow. I remember the red though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a 2-color fade, and it would work sometimes, but it was one of those Like, I have a crazy idea. Let's try it out. They
I
were good about that.
I remember like stopping by the store just because like I'd pass by and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty fucking cool, you know. And like I was telling you, it was a very intimidating store because like the level of cool was like way up here. And like in 2003, 2004, Luke Chu, who still like, you know, did not have anything to show for himself. Like, you know, I was literally on the ground, you know, and I was like, oh, like this place is way too cool for school for me.
How many years was it there? Do you even know?
I don't even know.
Was it like 5? Was it that long?
At least 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I left it alone. I was never a board member of SPAN, but I did a ton of art in the initial process. I was in the room when we named it, Span of Sunset.
What did span mean?
That's the whole point.
Just span?
Yep.
Span of sunset, the length?
Yeah.
Not that cool of a name.
Yeah.
No. Doesn't do anything for me.
No, and that's the weird thing is that I think that all of these things were part of a plan. That they
they're like, dude, that's the best name ever, name ever, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going,
So how did you get involved in all of this? Like, were you?
Was never. That was the thing. Is like there was never any energy like that. It was very a weird energy. Now that may have changed. Wow. I know, Cabrera, Nathan Cabrera.
Oh, I remember.
One of the greats.
Oh my God, Nathan
Cabrera. So they were trying really hard to be cool, but they might not have been cool either.
No, I don't know if they were cool. I mean, I can tell you, I'm certainly not cool, and I designed a bunch of T-shirts, like their first line of T-shirts, and they weren't cool.
So were they buying into being cool by opening a store that was cool and just kind of like saying, I'm now cool because I have a store?
They were doing what I think a lot of gallerists, tastemakers, people do, influencers, which I'm not saying any of those people are cool, no offense, but I think what they were doing was legitimizing their aesthetic and their collection by creating a storefront that thus represented to people these are important things to pay attention to and buy. And that included their own line of toys. Nathan was a sculptor for them.
Yep.
And, I think Julie B was working with them at the time.
Okay.
And,
Julie B of Pretty in Plastic, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Nick Cowan was there doing design work for them, and I think working the desk. Nikos Constant was around there in I don't know what capacity.
That's the mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, all the guys involved were the mystery. I mean, that was, and of course it was, Mr. Dominguez. And then myself, I was just, they would tell me to do crazy things. I'd be like, okay, design a line of shirts, but we want, instead of saying Tron, we want to say Span, but we want to make Tron shirts, that kind of thing. And these were not things where we made 100,000 of them.
Right.
We would make like none. You know what I mean? We'd make like, I don't even know, so few that like if you got a copy of it, that's pretty remarkable because there weren't many.
I don't think I've ever seen a Span T-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I did them in a multitude of.
Yeah, I don't.
I did all these different kind of '80s looking rock faces because they really were into that kind of scene for a while. I think they had a shirt by Pusshead. They were really big into Pusshead.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was just, and they loved Bape, and they loved, they just had things.
And they probably like Cause a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would sell their vinyl toys, and then they would sell their own vinyl toys, which I think even outside of the Necessaries line, say the Necessaries line, and that was somehow affiliated, at least with...
Necessaries did like the Camille Rose Garcia toy, the Todd Shore toy.
Sympathy for the Record Industry's own.
The first Enid toy, right? Yep.
Yep.
By Daniel Klaus.
Yep.
So that was like really kind of like I feel like it was like the very beginning of what I would call second generation art toy, first generation American art toy kind of thing.
They did my Sniper Bunny, which
I have that one.
That one was an incredibly crazy toy because so we were obviously informed about the toys and on the cusp of making toys, and I was collecting Michael Lau at the time. I had a lot of Michael Lau and stuff like that.
Did you get them from us?
No, I got them from Taiwan.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Because we were the first to import Michael
Michael
Lau.
Lau?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
imported
cool.
Crazy Children from
Oh, yeah.
series 1 through, what is it, 1 through 10
6 or something?
No, it was more. It was
Oh,
like
really?
12 maybe.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we imported them at a major expense at the time.
Oh, they weren't.
Yeah, no, and we sold them out.
Yeah.
Like everything, I was shitting, going, oh my god, we just bought like 100 of each,
Yeah.
and we had sold them all,
Yeah.
and they were all just like in my garage. I was like, dude,
That's so great.
we're making a magazine, and there's boxes of toys, and I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Is this before you had a store?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So we were the first to import Michael Lau's toys.
That's great.
That was in '98 or '99, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, we imported them then. Maybe
Wait, when did Giant Robot Store open?
2001.
Oh, okay.
So we imported Michael Lau's toys and then sold them all, but it was the Crazy Children series as they were coming out.
And he was doing toys
as they were released in Taiwan
with,
or Hong Kong. In Hong Kong,
He was doing with Futura also, and like different weird people. And then Eric So came along.
Sure, I imported his shit too.
Yeah. And Eric, I always considered like an after Michael Lau thing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was Tim Biskup's roommate in college, for instance. I've known Tim for a long time, and he was always on the edge of that stuff. He loved, the vinyl toy culture, and thus I was introduced to vinyl toy people left and right,
Right.
And I thought to myself, I can't make a vinyl toy because that's dead. Back in '99, I'm like, that's dead to me.
But you were
way
wrong.
off. I'm gonna eat that one right now. So I thought, okay, I'll make a plush toy because I thought that would be cool, and I always loved the dream pets, and so I thought I'm gonna make myself a dream pet. And I actually worked with Gaston, and he found the guys that made the dream pets, and they were making a new line. They were gonna
they did do it.
Yeah, they were gonna.
Yeah, I collected dream pets. I once had like 100 of them.
Yeah. So they were going to bring out the dream pets. And so then he said, once this line comes out, then we'll do your toy. And apparently that dream pets line did very, very poorly. And that guy committed suicide.
Oh shit.
And so my toy took an insanely long time to come out.
Yep.
Because we had already waited for this guy. And now we had to source another guy and then get them shipped back from, I think they were finally done in China. So it took a really long time to come out. So by the time it came out, it was no longer the first plush toy. I think somebody else had already, maybe Horvath or somebody else had come out with like a plush around that time, and mine wasn't first. But it was...
Yeah, 2001 was when David did it. When my shop opened, I was carrying plush by what is it? Those guys in Florida that are now here, Friends with You.
Oh, Friends with You. Yeah.
I was carrying their stuff. Then there was the first ones that people probably forgot is Dynamoville.
Oh, I don't even know that.
I don't even know that
So
one.
I carried Dynamoville, and they were like to me the first art plush people that I ever knew. And I carried that, and then the prices were so high that eventually I couldn't sell them anymore.
Wow.
And then Ugly Doll came out and made them $25 and just blew everything out of the water.
Killed.
Yeah, and so that was over. And then Friends with You stuff was too expensive too. So Ugly Doll kind of came and just undercut everybody. It was awesome.
But
that's kind of what. But he saw all that stuff in my shop because I was Dynamoville was out of New York, Friends with You was out of Florida, and I was importing just buying it for my shop here in LA, but. Just the prices were so high that it was very boutique-ish. It's like someone's going to pay $120 for a plush doll. And the Friends with You stuff was like 50 and 60, like that high. And, David made his like 25 or 30. Like that was the beginning.
Yeah, he found that.
But it was handmade.
Sweet spot.
But it was still handmade. But he made them low priced. And then, it just took off.
Wow.
Yeah. That's kind of like interesting. Those are the ones that I remember of plush at that time.
Yeah.
In 2001. So.
When did Span open?
Oh, I can't say exactly. Gosh.
2002, 2003, something like that. 2001.
Yeah, it was very early. Yeah.
Not that early.
Not as early as
No, I'm
Giant
just kidding.
Robot.
I don't know.
I'm trying
really
to
don't know.
think of it in light
It could
of
be the same time.
9/11, actually.
Oh, I opened before 9/11. That's what I mean,
Yeah.
like a week before 9/11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to place it in there, and I'm trying to think to myself, were they open before 9/11?
Could be. I'm not sure. They could be.
I just
I
remember Bill McMullen's fucking ATM at thing.
Yes.
You know,
Adidas at.
yeah,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
And I remember looking at the price. It was like $100 and something, and I'm like, what the fuck, $100 and something for this?
I mean, it's funny because I have a shelf at my house of it was a bar, and when my house was built in the 70s, so it's like a built-in bar,
I love
and
it.
it's got glass mirrors behind it, you know, and glass shelving. And I don't really drink, so I have vinyl toys there.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
And it's funny because if you look at that shelf, you'd think, oh my God, this dude's bought all these vinyl toys. But actually, because I hung out with those people so
You
much,
inherited a bunch,
I just inherited a ton of vinyl toys, and they look so great. I mean, when you have, I put low wattage colored light bulbs up above the bar, and when you turn them on, and it's those vinyl toys, and then the mirror and stuff, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I love them for that. That
Yeah.
sculptural value of them is incredible,
Yeah.
actually.
Nice.
You know, and the variation is really still like, I still see stuff come out that I'm like, oh man, that's so great. I don't want to spend $100 or more on a final toy generally, but you know, I see like the Macbeth one. Did you see where he had two girls hugging each other, and they're fully tattooed, and it's like this. The sculpt is just crazy.
Right.
It's
I think I know which piece you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, people are really still trying to push
Yeah. No.
that envelope.
I thought, like, especially like after the recession, I thought that like this scene is gone, you know, and it pretty much was, you know. But like, no, there's still definitely a demand, you know. Fucking, it's insane.
Well, you go to Designer Con and see the creators.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people making stuff where I'm like, who the fuck are you? And who the fuck are you? And who the fuck are you? And they all have like a line of their own toys. And I've never heard of these, like whoever they are.
Yeah, I call them third gens, like
Or fourth. I don't even know. Is it
Does
third?
that
I don't
include
know.
like the Sucklord and those kind of guys?
yeah.
Sucklord's
yeah.
at least kind of old school. These guys
Yeah,
that I'm
so
not like.
Sucklord is second gen for sure.
Second gen.
Yeah.
Look, these guys, I'm like, I've never heard of you, never seen you, and it's rad you're doing it. It feels like you're doing it in a vacuum because I've not seen it once. You know, and I'm like, but then they unleash it at Decon. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So are they basing their like ability to survive on a day job or on like
most
super?
likely,
Most
yeah.
definitely,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
But I see talent though. I'm like, but
Yeah.
they don't have a name, so I'm like, you're just sitting on your shit the whole time. They have a harder time selling it, you know. Just
Right.
if they were named Luke Chu, they would have sold their shit. But
Yeah.
seriously, they don't have any fame behind them, so they have rad stuff, and it just kind of sits. That's what I
Wow.
notice every year. I'm like, oh,
Well, you know, the problem with a lot of it though is that there's just so much like, you know, punnery going on.
yep.
You know,
there is.
lots of fucking shitty Disney, Star Wars, Marvel fucking references. You know, and it's like, all right, I get it. It's
Although
full-
I kind of love those the Mark Todd Star Wars
well,
ones.
those
Yeah.
are fucking amazing.
I mean, I think
Well, all the
those
ones
are,
that Dove does, they're funny.
Dove does
too.
funny
Wow,
things.
Those are
Well,
that's a genre of its own, man. It's amazing.
Mark Todd is not trying to make a name on.
no,
up-
that's true.
yeah,
True.
that's the
yeah.
thing.
He
Like-
isn't acting cool. He's just making.
No, he's
cool
just
shit.
making weird, shitty looking things,
Yeah.
but they're kind of cool because they're
But they're
shitty.
charming
And they're shitty
it's-
looking.
It's great. The stories on
They're-
the back of the cards are really charming.
They're so shitty, they're good. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just kidding.
well, I mean,
I think they're
that's-
just very much
I love
like
giving him shit.
he's
It's the best.
he's tapping into a kind of youthful exuberance that's really weird. Like if I was a kid and I could produce a toy,
This is what it looked
that's
like.
what I would do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like
know.
at a very high level.
Yeah.
That has actually happened to me. Like I've done shows and Clutter. Like Clutter used to be like one of the art toy magazines, and based out of New York. And I did a show out there, and then this is like little kid, maybe like 12, 13 years old, comes up to me and goes, "Hey, this is a figure I cast." And I'm like,
Oh my God, that's great.
And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And it's actually
Just
a
throw
lot.
it over your shoulder.
No,
The-
I still have it. Like I still definitely have it. But like, you know, he would like do something that's kind of like something like in between a slug and David Cho's whale, you know, character.
But the mystery of casting is just like not a mystery anymore. You got 12-year-olds doing it, you know.
Well, that's why we have YouTube, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you have a question about anything, you can fucking find the answer there.
And people seem to know, like, no. I'm like, does it smell? Did it smell when you did? And they're like, no smell, because I got the one that doesn't have odor. I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everything, so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of being creative and good and marketing it and making it rad.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of it.
No, it's amazing.
That's life.
Yeah.
You know, like the way like information can be distributed and spread and shared nowadays. You know, like if you really are interested in doing something, like you could find out a way to do it.
On
Like
YouTube, you can find it. Yeah,
like,
of course.
You know, I've like for instance, like there's a bunch of like dishes that I would love to learn from my mom. But the thing is that my mom is not a very good teacher of these things because, you know, she's older. She's like in her 80s now, you know, and so I just look it up on YouTube and there it is. You know?
When I forget something on Illustrator,
Yeah.
I always have to refer back to YouTube, and I'm like, duh, that, you know, I knew how to do it, and I forgot how.
Oh yeah.
Just look at a video, and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or using Excel and Word, you know, making like mailing labels and shit.
Yeah.
I forget how to transfer that over, and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
So you're like completely dialed in on like all the most modern design software now because of the kind of work that you're doing, right?
I would say no to that. I mean, I think.
Like, you know, like fucking Photoshop CC, like
Oh sure.
all
Yeah, yeah,
inside and outside.
Yeah, that's-
Adobe Illustrator CC, you know. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't.
Those.
Like I get weird
mean-
weird Illustrator files, and I'm like, what? How the fuck did you put this thing together? Because like I'll look at the layers, structures, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
So
I think that's a possibility. People get afraid of, like, because every time it comes out, it seems like there's a new way of doing stuff, and it's a little bit freaky.
Right.
I probably use CC the way most people used Photoshop 6, and I don't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like,
Wait,
I
what's-
wouldn't call myself an
Creative
expert.
Cloud.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
shit, I'm still using Photoshop 6, literally.
Yeah.
I use.
Which isn't bad. I don't honestly think it's a bad program.
It's all I need.
you know,
So yeah.
What's nice is you got like multiple undos now on CC. You don't have to like.
Do you have multiple undos on
yeah,
6?
No,
yeah.
but it was through the histories. You'd have to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through the histories, but now you don't have to go through the
Oh,
histories.
you just keep hitting undo.
Oh, you just have to hit undo. Step backwards, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
still.
that's the only difference I really noticed. Like they kind of move things around, and I'm not really quite sure how.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'm using a wonderful BitTorrent version still.
Nice.
Straight up.
you know, it's only
So
like
you
$33 a month.
Not really a good thing to say.
Yeah. Sorry.
Like, you know, if you just
You know, the thing about it is that if you use it for your work, you definitely should take the tax write-off. You know,
Instead, I'll just go spend the money and go eat.
nice.
Yeah.
Once.
I don't know.
You'll eat once. You realize?
apparently it is. We are over time now, but
Does the FCC crack down on you guys pretty hard?
no, but like, you know, we just kind of begin to try and wind things down, and usually takes us about like 20 minutes to to wind it down, you know. So, you know, it's a 2-hour podcast.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We're past it. We're at 2:10 now.
Oh
So, yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I
it's
babble
great.
a
No,
lot.
I love it. You
So-
know,
What do you want people to know about yourself? Lastly, your last bit. What would you like people to know? You have a show coming up. Do you have?
You know what? I have a bunch of work at Corey Helford Gallery right now that you need to go and bug them, and they'll pull it out from the back and show you.
Awesome.
And
it's
that
it is beautiful work. Like
it was a great show. It happened on the very same night as their Hello Kitty show,
Oh, that shitstorm.
and that show was fantastic. And they had a crowd. I left, I think, at 10:30 at night, and there was still a line to get in to see Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it was that major, huge of an event. You know, and I sold my Hello Kitty piece, which was
Congrats.
fun. Thank you. And that, you know, that was a great night. But that left me with, you know, a bunch of pieces that you guys should all check out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And otherwise, you know, I keep watching American Dad and asking for more episodes.
Because it's paying the bills.
Thanks, you
How
guys.
can people reach you?
Reach me through Instagram, Andrew Brandou at Instagram. It's the easiest way.
Brandou.
DOU.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. All right. I think I don't know. I'm kind of tapped out right now.
What the fuck? I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for this wonderful sign off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it didn't happen.
Don't you usually do like a spiritual, kind of like a Zen sign off where you? I'm just assuming
No.
that you do that.
No.
Usually we say thank
We
you.
all have like a quiet minute, lower the lights, and Luke just
Wind down, everybody.
Wind down.
Calm down.
breathe deeply.
Breathe. Close your eyes and think about, good stuff.
Pretty good.
Awesome. That was very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.